Yeah, I want to lead. I want to ask Kevin and welcome Kevin here in a second. Kevin posted some really interesting information regarding the Casper and the Hedera Hashgraph HBAR charts. And I know Kevin has his hands on a lot of these kind of what we would consider blue chip assets. But what I wanted to ask you before we move to Kevin, Santiment, is one of the things that you do really well, which I really like, and it's not even, I don't even know, I think it's just from your data that you've been measuring, is can you talk to the crowd that is here right now a little bit about when there's a mass populist belief that one thing is going to happen, what normally happens, and what history has shown and what you've seen through the analytic process that you guys use about expectations versus reality, because this market really likes to trick people, right?
Oh, 100%. Yeah, I think, someone right before me mentioned that many of us came in around 2017, and I was one of them, sort of hearing about Ethereum and the quote unquote flippening back when that was rumored to be happening as Ethereum was surging up the charts in 2017. And I quickly learned that crypto is no different from any other sector. It's still a zero-sum game, and many people trick themselves into believing otherwise. And when I joined Santiment in 2019, I quickly learned that one of the big mantras that we rest our beliefs on is the fact that prices move in the direction of the crowd's least expected direction. So if the crowd unanimously or nearly unanimously expects that prices are going to go up, as they very much believed would happen forever come last October, last November, that's when the corrections occur. When the euphoric sentiment pops out, that's when you want to start taking profit and preparing for some corrections. And almost always in those cases, just like we saw in December of 2017, January 2018, and then November of 2021, we see mass euphoria. We see a lot of you-know-what coins starting to get a lot of traction. And Bitcoin starts to get ignored. Whether you're a Bitcoin maxi or an anti-Bitcoiner yourself, most of us here understand that a certain amount of attention needs to be paid to Bitcoin at any given time, or else the entire crypto ecosystem can crumble. That might not always be the case, but for the near future, while so many assets are paired specifically with Bitcoin, some that's the only way you can trade them, that means Bitcoin has to have a certain amount of utility at any given time. And if it starts to get abandoned, like we saw in November 2021, and everyone starts to look at the more volatile assets that are going up 3x, 5x, 20x as much as Bitcoin, that's when we've got a problem in crypto. So our goal is to ensure that all assets that are being discussed and have news coming out about them get their fair due. But also we're able to point out that if a certain asset is starting to get too positive or too negative, that's when the big shifts occur. And right now we're in a very negative state, as most of you would imagine, being 11 months, 10 months into a bear market here. There's an overwhelming amount of people shifting away from crypto right now. The amount of social commentary overall is way down, and the comments that still exist are at a much more negative ratio than we usually see.
I want to thank you, Santiment. I really appreciate that. Kevin, what's up, dude? And thank you so much for joining in. I know today I'm seeing, you posting about HBAR and Casper, and obviously not financial advice, but what are you watching right now? What are you witnessing as far as these assets being below fib levels, being below the 200-day moving average? What are you looking at as far as, I mean, even just like from a macro point of view, and being able to potentially invest in these assets after you do your own research, and just being willing to hold them based on where you know that they might go, even within some sort of a retracement, being that everything is kind of down near the bottom. So curious your thoughts.
Hey, what's up, Solomon? Good to be here and see a lot of familiar faces. Regarding the price charts, I like looking at different alts and kind of imagining a follow the leader scenario. We saw Q&T have a really quick V-shaped recovery from that June low, already pumping up 200% and now surpassing that 786 fib retracement. And we've seen, Uniswap, Ethereum Classic, a few others come up to that 702, 786 as well. And shortly after, we had Ethereum, Atom, a variety of others, including XRP, make it up to the 382. So I'm just kind of watching different alts that are, down 90% that are utility based, and kind of playing a game of follow the leader. Because in my experience, even if it takes 3 months, we will see some of these alts, eventually get that speculative move, whether it's an algorithm, whether it's news as a catalyst. That's just my personal opinion.
Yeah, I'm curious what the panel as a whole kind of thinks as far as where we're potentially at right now during this cycle. And I know, Ben, that you've talked about this quite a bit. We've all talked about this. I guess before we hop into that, I do want to welcome Citizen up to the stage. Citizen, thank you very much, dude. Citizen is one of the contributors within the LightHouse report as well. Citizen does insanely deep dives and mind maps around kind of this digitization of documents, trade finance, what's going on in the XDC ecosystem. He tackles quant. He tackles a lot of like these major initiatives going on globally. So I have to welcome you to the stage, Citizen, and maybe talk about a little bit of what you're witnessing right now, what you're interested in, maybe a little bit of what you've written up for this month. And yeah, dude, thank you so much for joining.
Sick. Hey, thanks for the great intro, XRPL. And hey, everyone, I'm Citizen. I'm a industrial electrician, automation technician, and that's my career. But I've been researching blockchain, DLT, and Industry 4.0 technology since 2018. And so if you guys have seen my profile, sometimes I have some pretty deep industrial-looking schematics of connections and how things connect and how things work. And that's all because what I like to say is, a picture can show 1,000 words. There's a lot, and as Coach said earlier, there's this mindset shift going on, and there's what I see with the mainstream media is there's a complete disconnection from reality of what's going on in society. Right now, everything's being covered as COVID-19, the Ukrainian war, and just stuff that keeps people scared, divided, and filled with anxiety. So I post research, like I'm a researcher, and I like sharing things that I find through my depths of the internet to help inspire other citizens to look into Industry 4.0 technology and the fourth industrial revolution that is being completely missed by mainstream media. Like we're seeing the digitalization of documents throughout the global trade ecosystem and the supply chain and trade finance industry. And we're seeing all these cost savings and all this automation and process flow through intermediaries throughout the global industries. And it's being shoved under the rug. Mainstream media just covers this garbage. And so that's sort of what inspires me. And to share my research to inspire others, because there's not very many citizens. It's good to have a bunch of us here that are talking about utility, that are talking about the real use cases, that are talking about the stuff that's not based on hype. So that's why I really like being a part of this LightHouse report, is because it allows me to put my regulated views out there. That's not based on hype, that's based on fundamental connections. So it's really good to see that, because there's so much biased stuff out there, et cetera, et cetera. But yeah,
Go ahead.
Yeah. So I was just going to say, so this month's edition, so in my last this is the fourth edition of the LightHouse report. And the first one that I did like a gigantic overview, like helicopter view of trade finance and supply chain, the most common problems in our global industry. And the stuff that I write about is very big picture. It's like you really got to take a step back and you got to look at the world as a whole compared to us just sitting in our homes, in our little town, but nobody really looks outside of their everyday lives. And that is that narrative that's been pumped into all of us through the television, through the mainstream media is, focus on your everyday life. Don't think about the bigger picture. Don't ask questions. Just do as you're told. Work your minimum wage job and be happy and accumulate debt. There's no real good value that the news gives. And but anyways, what I sort of see is we're going through a transformational turning point of the globe. Industry 4.0 technology is expanding at an exponential rate. We are seeing the digitalization of documents in global trade and the supply chain. And you know, a fun fact that I wrote about in the first edition is there's 28.5 billion trade documents that move across the globe in a year. And that is paper. That equals to paper documents. And that paper is slow, expensive, time consuming, it gets lost. There's a lot of bad problems with it. And if you stack those 28.5 billion trade documents on top of each other, that would create a stack 39,500 statues of liberties tall of a stack of paper, just to put in perspective. And we're in 2022, and I read in a industry report that at the end of 2021, only 1% of documents is digital. And so that's how we're in.
You'd mentioned this before, dude. What is the what year was the regulation formed for trade documentation? It's ridiculous.
Oh, it was back in the 1800s. So it's called the Bills of Exchange Act of 1882, and that requires, like, because like all across the globe, in jurisdictions all across the globe, they all go off English law. English law goes off the Bills of Exchange Act of 1882, which requires documentation to be signed in wet ink for it to be valid. So it does not validate electronic versions of the documents. So yeah, and then I break this down in the first report, and then the last report I did. I break down the problems and then some of the solutions that are arising. And then this edition of the grid, I did basically an entry level breakdown of the importance of the digitization of documents. So where they're digitizing from paper and they're digitizing them for the digital data of all information on a bill of lading or electronic transfer record. And I break down some of the recent advancements, and yeah, so it gives a good overview of smart contracts, DLT, what to look for in the future, and some of the recent things that have went on.
I have to give you a shout, bro, because I mean the work that you do around those mind maps and really trying to inform people. You, Tokenizer, XX on Twitter, you guys just do an absolutely there's so many people to shout out. I do want to talk and go ahead, Sadaf. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, Citizen does an incredible job, as do all of the contributors on that report. You did mention you give us a balcony view of everything you've just discussed, but he does go into quite some detail as well, explaining it. So I have pinned the link to the report. Make sure you check out the previous editions. There is another one coming October 1st. Excited to read it.
Heck yeah.
I have to give you a shout, Citizen. And Darren, I'm going to get to you in 1 second, because if you guys are just joining now, we have XX Network coming up in about 10 to 12 minutes as a keynote speaker. So I definitely want to get to Darren, and I definitely want to kind of have, all the thoughts of the roundtable that we have up here right now as far as, where this market might be at. But I have to give you a shout real quick, Citizen, because the first two editions or the first three editions of the report were like long view. So you had to like scroll through them. So we were under like a word count stuff. And I told Citizen like earlier this month, I was like, oh, dude, there's like not a word count anymore. And he's like, oh, sweet, man. So he literally gave us like 18 pages worth of content on trade finance.
Yeah. I was like, yeah, actually, I gotta cut this in half. Like, I need a couple more days because like I just kept going. Like the content just kept flowing. And I was like, it's got to all make sense, right? But yeah. And one thing I'd like to finish off is, it's all of us citizens uniting together, right? Like, it's always been the 1% versus us throughout all our lives. And now we all citizens of the globe have something decentralized that they can unite over and fight the corruption and can actually, share the research, be a part of this revolution together, and, maybe turn the tables on them one day by exposing and getting enough of us minds collaborating that we can make a difference. And that's sort of my view of citizens of the future is, we're all researchers in the future.
I appreciate it, dude. Darren,
so thanks for having me.
Thank you. Oh, no problem, citizen. I appreciate it, man. Darren, what's up, dude? To give you guys a heads up, I know Darren is a contributor within the report as well, tackling kind of the macroeconomic aspects. And we all know that Darren is an insane deep diver in this space as well. Darren, maybe if you could give us maybe a couple minutes on what you're looking at right now, what's interesting to you as far as the market. And I guess I'll let you go first. When I ask everybody about where do we think we're at right now, I know you definitely have some opinions based on the macroeconomic issues going on in the world that kind of need to pivot in a way for us to feel comfortable about where this market may be headed. So what's up, Darren?
Hi, thanks for having me on, and thanks for letting me write for the LightHouse report. So my section focuses on macroeconomics, like you explained. My main thing is that, since I got into the market, the whole entire time, we haven't fought the Fed. The Fed's been printing up money, and we've kind of benefited from that this whole entire time. They've printed money, and the markets have moved up. Now, all of a sudden, the rug is being pulled, and they're trying to curtail inflation. They're trying to bring inflation back down to 2%. So in my section, I try to explain how fragile the system really is, and what does that really mean by them bringing inflation back down to 2%? What does a 75 basis point hike actually mean to the real economy, and what is that doing? So I'm waiting for something to break, and when something breaks, I think then we'll move back to printing of money. But until that happens, I'm keeping a close eye on all different aspects of the real economy as well as the financial economy, and I'm just trying to keep a close eye on it to see, when something breaks, if I'll have that information beforehand. If I see something breaking in the credit market, if the credit market starts freezing, and I know there's no choice but for them to start printing of money, then I'll be ahead of the curve. So that's what I'm focusing on. That's what I'm researching within the LightHouse report.
No, we appreciate it, dude. And to give you guys a heads up, in about 10 minutes here, we do have XX Network coming on as a keynote speaker, which is going to be a major opportunity, I think, for many people to participate in aspects and to learn a little bit, just a little bit about what they're doing as far as digital sovereignty and quantum resistance. And they have a massive airdrop that is going to be announced. To give you guys my 2 cents real quick, I try to keep things really simple, and I want to hear everybody up here before we pivot to the next portion of this show. But, I look at this market and I look at like a $900 billion market cap for the total market cap of crypto, and I think it's absolutely ridiculous as far as the opportunity that is right in front of most of our faces. That's not financial advice. It's just common sense from being here and knowing that the majority of legacy financial infrastructure is going to, at some point, either run on DLT or interoperate with it. And I know it sucks right now because we're in this space where it's like, man, it's boring. Nothing's really moving price. But this is the exact same thing that happens during every single cycle. And I appreciate you guys all being here. Ben, I'm curious, Sadaf, can you, Ben, we'll get to you right after this because I did not allow Sadaf to talk about DeFi and Web3. So maybe talk a little bit about DeFi and Web3 and what you've written for a minute or two, and then I want to run the gamut of the panel to see where everybody thinks we may be with this market. So,
it's just really unfortunate that the things I've been writing about have been a whole heap of bankruptcies and sanctions, particularly in DeFi. We're seeing the market kind of tank. It's been a declining few months, or actually better part of the year. We've been on a decline, but then what we see in the entire Web3 space is astronomical amounts of adoption and mergers. I mean, you've got everything from a big corp. We had Walmart announce, I think just yesterday, their integration with stepping into the metaverse and creating these exclusive experiences for their customers. So you see a lot of people really stepping in and trying to merge into this new economy that we have. And And that's really bullish. But at the same time, you're seeing aspects where we are kind of dropping the ball, and we're experiencing what anyone in a new space experiences. And I think once we flesh those things out, and that will occur over, a few years to, a decade, whatever it may be, I think we're going to see a lot of opportunity in this space.
Thank you, Sadaf. Ben, I'm curious your thoughts on where we might be right now, and especially which projects or ecosystems you might be interested in. And the reason I'm saying that is because out of this entire panel right now, you have a lot of pull. You have a lot of people that are reaching out to you. You have a lot of opportunities to interview some of these ecosystems. What is interesting to you right now as far as what you're looking at, number one, and then where do you think we're at as far as where this market is concerned?
Yeah, I mean, I think you have to answer the second question first, because that really sets everything up. Look, people who watch my channel, they know I'm a traditional 4-year cycle guy. It has not failed. We famously, like almost everybody else in crypto, predicted Bitcoin going to 100K last year or higher. Obviously, we were way ahead of the pace until May, and then things broke down, and then we were never really able to get the momentum going back strongly. However, we said for 2.5 years that the top of the market was going to be between Halloween and Thanksgiving. It's not rocket science. When you look at the 4-year cycle for Bitcoin, it is played out almost exactly the same. Of course, yes, it rhymes. It's not exactly the same, but it's been very easy. And some of the biggest traders in the space, they hate it. They hate how simple it is.
Well, you can look back like, charts. What is it, like 17 to 18 months normally, or at least the past 2 cycles before the halvenings? We've bottomed historically, right? So
of course, and it's been 3 to 5 weeks after midterm elections. So we're looking at very similar. In 2017, we topped in December, we bottomed in December. In 2021, we hit all-time highs right before that, but we topped in November of 2021. So of course now it looks like very potentially we're going to get a bottom in November of 2021. It's almost the same song and dance. Everything is set up for that. Now, what's going to occur in the midterm elections that make it go down? I don't know, but we always see volatility after major elections, no matter which side wins. So you really have to look at it in terms of, where is the 4-year cycle going? We're estimating, we like to pick exact dates because people like to hear that. But of course, it's not an exact date. It's just basically taking all the information in and saying this is approximately when we should bottom. We've got November 28th is approximately the day. It's a marker, give or take 2 weeks on either side, depending on the Fed meeting in December. If that goes very badly, then of course it could go into December. We're targeting no later than January of 2023 for a bottom. So right now we're on bottom watch. We're technically in the range where we could see a bottom, but due to the midterm elections, we think it'll happen after that. So when you really look at that, you say, well, what happens after Bitcoin bottoms? It's not a quick rocket up. It's about a year sideways. And during that entire year of sideways action for Bitcoin, which there will be some fireworks. Of course, in 2019, we saw over the summer Bitcoin go from 6 to 14,000 and then back to 6,000. And then in October, around, in about the middle of October, we saw Bitcoin go from, I think, about 7,000 up to 11 and then right back down by the end of the month back to 6 or 7. So there will be some moments where it seems like things we're heading in the right direction, some bull traps or whatever the case may be. But in general, we think next year is going to be pretty sideways. Well, if you look back at altcoins and how they perform compared to Bitcoin during that time, the altcoins generally bottom while Bitcoin is going sideways. So, there's no guarantee just because Bitcoin bottoms that any of these coins that we're looking at are going to find their bottom at exactly the same time. However, there is one caveat to this conversation, which is to say that, of course, we didn't get a true altcoin season in the last cycle that goes after Bitcoin tops. We didn't get that at all. Bitcoin was the top. So maybe this time that we don't see altcoins go down as far as we saw previously. But I just really want to reiterate what I said at the top of the show. The winners are what's important. We already know who a lot of the winners in crypto are. The ISO, I just put a poll up, because 3 different people said it differently on this show. I was told it's ISO 20022, but the people say right now it's winning the poll. It's ISO 222. So we'll see how that poll finishes up. But those coins, we think all those are going to be winners. Obviously, Cardano is going to be a winner. It has massive community support. It wasn't distributed in the way that Solana was for, all the VCs. Solana is going to win. I hate Solana. I don't like Sam Bankman-Fried. I think he's trying to, I know he's trying to do a lot of really bad stuff behind the scenes. But the fact is, Solana's a money printer. So if you want to throw money in Solana, it's going to go up. It's got too much money behind it to fail. Ethereum with the merge, this is set up for the flipping. The flipping will be coming in this next bull market. Very confident. The tokenomics of Ethereum are now going to be superior to the tokenomics of Bitcoin. It will be deflationary at the highest levels of network congestion. That's when ETH gets burned off. So I just really want to caution people, like there's this idea that you have to find the 100x coin. And look, there is a time for that. There will come a time in the cycle when taking more speculative picks will be the move. Right now, it's time to accumulate the winners. This is where you really perform big. Cardano spent almost all of 2018 at 5 cents, 2018 and 2019 at 5 cents, went all the way up to $3. That's a 60x. So you don't have to reinvent the wheel to find the coins that are going to win. And I think, one thing we're going to be doing, we really learned this through this IOTA video we just put out. We did this IOTA video and the team started reaching out to us. We're going to try to be doing a lot more coin reviews for these top coins based on information directly from the team. So we're going to be giving you guys exactly what the teams think are important as well. I think this is a new model for some videos we're going to be doing. Because we really do want to hear from all these ecosystems, and they obviously would like to get their information out on my channel as well. So that's the direction we're going. Everybody needs to focus on accumulating the winners during this time. Obviously XRP, HBAR, these are big coins. Algorand, that's another one we really like. Sandbox, we think is going to do really well. And then a lot of people know, obviously, we're Cardano, Ethereum. Those are kind of what we're known for.
Yeah, if you're looking into, I want to get to Ari here in a second. And hey, for down there in the chat, for the team from XX, because I know you guys are coming on right now, if you could raise the hands up, so it would be much easier for us to get you up on stage. For the panel that's up here right now, we may kick people down to listener. We would love for your audiences to still be able to participate in the community initiative that's about to happen with XX, because I think it's massive. So I will try to facilitate that and bring people up if possible. Ben, if you're looking into IOTA, I would very much so recommend looking into IoTex and their Pebble Tracker initiative, really kind of the Internet of Things aspects. There's a lot of interesting stuff going on. IoTex actually facilitated through their Pebble Tracker the tracking of health data for the entire United States Navy. There's all sorts of crazy stuff going on with IoTex as well. And Ben,
we'll check them out. I think I've talked to them before. So yeah, definitely something on the radar.
100%, dude. And I mean, like I said at the very beginning, for those of you that are just joining, the real purpose of why we're facilitating this show on a weekly basis is to try to break down as many silos as possible, whether that be thought, community, network, or information. And it takes, panelists like Bitboy, like Crypto Area, like Darren, like Citizen, like Kevin, like the foundation up here that's definitely going to be participating even during the project section. And I see you down there, East Smitty. I definitely want to get you up, but we do have kind of a layout here. We're gonna move to the keynotes after this, and then we have the projects portion where I want as many projects building in this space to be able to come up, talk about why, what, where, how, and when they're building. But Ari, where do you think we're at right now as far as this space is concerned? What are you watching? And then again, for the XX Network team, please raise your hand so we can invite you guys up in a couple minutes here.
Yeah, I just have just final thoughts, and then I know you've got a tight schedule and you want to move along. I want to tell Ben, thank you so much for all your study on XRP. Sometimes I'm tough on you, and just take me with a grain of salt because I'm very fact-based. And so if I ever get, we have the word in Japan, kibishi, which means strict. If I ever get strict on you, just go, yeah, okay, Eddie.
That's okay. No problems, no worries. Yeah.
I really want to tell you, though, from the bottom of my heart, we are super lucky that you've taken the time to study the company Ripple and the digital asset XRP, and I want you to keep going. And I think you've done a tremendous amount for getting people to change their mind in focusing on the facts. So I love you, and don't worry about when I get Kibishi. The other thing too is
that's okay. I would like to say we'd love to have you on the show sometime too.
Yeah. That's okay. But I just want to tell you that I appreciate you. Jay is in, Jay Spendabits. He won the Ripple Innovate Cbdc interoperability category as a finalist. He's in the audience here. I don't know if he's going to have a chance to talk or not, but he's built on the XRP ledger. He moves Bitcoin across like no other, like Lightning can't do. And he is also has a team that is able to do things that are beyond what he's already built. So I just want to give a shout out to him and say congratulations for his winning that Ripple.
Well, I can ask Jay real quick. Jay, are you going to be? I definitely want you up here. Are you going to be around in like 45 minutes? Is that going to be okay if we get, I want XX to have their portion because we're not really tight on time. I just want to make sure that you're going to be available in 45 minutes, 50 minutes to be able to talk about the great initiatives through Spend the Bits. Because actually, Genfinity is integrating Spend the Bits. So.
Yeah, and I'm going to go really quick too. I just want to say John Deaton, he may have fallen off because he's a super busy guy, but of course we all want to thank him, but also too the Twitter sleuths that are helping him should also get a tremendous amount of a round of applause, if you will, for helping him. The decentralized investigative work that this community has done is going to be world famous. And so I just want to thank all those Twitter sleuths that are working. Coach JV,
have to give a shout out to, I know from a personal level, DAI, myself, Kimes haven't always gotten along, but those guys have done their due diligence with ETHgate and what's going on and really helped John Deaton. So have to give credit where credit's due 1,000,000%. Yeah.
There's, and with even the Hinman emails that came out, there were 2 names that were responsible for chasing down that document that I had never even seen them before. I hadn't been following them. And so I know that there's just so many people that are working hard in this space. So I just want to say thank you to everybody who's making that happen. Coach JV, I'm going to be on your channel. Johnny Crypto has reached out to me. I'm going to be on it for the second time. Every time I'm on your channel, I feel unbelievably inspired. You're just doing amazing work, and I want to say thank you to that. Also, be careful, everyone. There's a lot of doom and gloom narrative right now. Don't get sucked into that negative talk, because this is when the opportunities present themselves during the times of great change. So don't focus on the wrong thing. And last, come to Japan, October 1st. It's totally opened up. The yen is so weak. For the US dollar, everything is like 40 to 45% off. And I'm sure if you come, I will be glad to catch up with you. And I think Moonchaser would also do the same. All right. So thank you so much, Genfinity. You're doing great. And good luck for the rest of the show.
Hey, Ari, it'd be awesome if you stayed on as a listener so that, we get that pull from you guys, from your audience, like for what XX is about to be going over. And even from the projects initiative, as long as you can. And that goes for everybody up here. So that'd be fantastic. Like, do we want Darren, Citizen, Kevin? Kevin, go ahead. Because I know you have your hand up and I'm sorry. It's just, I just wanted to say real quick, like it is amazing to be able to bring this type of a panel together. And I know that it was kind of the introductory aspect within what we're trying to accomplish here. And man, like everybody's viewpoints are so valuable. My sentiments are the same to you, Ben, because sometimes I can be a straight up asshole. But it's always coming from like a place of like, I do really care about like this space. And I know that like the work that you've provided to this community, at least not the community as a whole, but the XRP, like the community as a whole, but the XRP community as well is invaluable. So what's up, Kevin, bro? You still there, Kevin? Yep.
Yeah, I'm here. But just wanted to say thanks again for having me, and to finish up just my thoughts as well with Ari and end on a positive note, despite all the doom and gloom. Overall this year, the global crypto ownership was around 4.2%. So 320 million crypto users. And I saw Quincy Jones a while back tweet something, and it really resonated. Those are not users. Maybe mom and dad are holding some Bitcoin, but we do not have dApps being used and providing utility at scale. So that's a whole nother thing in the future. We saw Bitcoin have a $1 billion market cap in 2013, and it hit and surpassed a $1 trillion market cap. Ethereum is likely to do the same thing in the future. And I'm just super hopeful. We see, Goldman Sachs, you see Charles Schwab, JP Morgan, Fidelity, BlackRock, all announcing crypto trading desks. I think the future is just super bright for everybody. So hang in there.
100%. Thank you so much, Kevin. I'm going to switch you down to listening so that I can bring up the third member of the XX team. And I would love if you guys stayed on board so that, as much of the community can learn about what they're facilitating as possible. And then keep in mind, directly after XX, we are going to basically be having this really agnostic aspect where any project that's building in this space can come up and talk about what they're building. I believe, as long as it's not too late, HBAR Foundation and Brandon are going to be here. I know Patches wants to hop back up. I think we've got a lot of really interesting speakers up here, and I know xSPECTAR is certainly interested about talking about what's being facilitated on the XRPL and cross-chain aspects. So looking forward to that. Kevin, I'm going to move you down to listeners right now. Citizen or Coach, if you guys have just maybe a minute. So, and Coach, I know that I didn't get enough time to talk to you during this spaces, but for you to take time out of your busy night, dude, I really, really appreciate you coming up here. And I would recommend, especially for thought empowerment and really where because crypto is one aspect, but really it's like a wholly encompassing thing. And I've been really transparent with some of the stuff that I go through on a daily basis. So, somebody that's trying to empower people in multiple aspects is really valuable to me. So I wanted to say thank you to you too, Coach, for coming up.
Thank you. Love you so much. And I'll go really quickly, but I want to capitalize on what Crypto Aries said. And also, Kevin, this is the greatest time in human history. And, what's happening with the Bank of England right now and all that stuff, this is all part of the massive transition. And I've really resonated with Darren's content as well, is the macro and microeconomics. And my skill set is looking at, I've coached over 5,000 people in the last 3 years, is looking at human behavior and also cyclic historical behavior. And that's how my brain works. And so we're in a 7-year Shemitah just end, right? 7-year cycle, the 50-year Jubilee. Within a presidential election around October, there's usually some sort of financial collapse. And so we're in this big, massive cycle, and it's nothing new under the sun. The Bible says it, nothing new under the sun. And this is the greatest time in human history to build generational wealth for your family. It's about getting out of that old earth paradigm, getting into that quantum paradigm, and understanding that this is a greatest opportunity. And there's another thing that a lot of people aren't talking about is the baby boomers are retiring, and that wealth is going to transfer down, and that wealth is going to be coming into crypto, blockchain, all these new technologies. So to me, it's the greatest time in human history. We preach that all the time. We talk about the news just to share with people. I always say, when you look over this way, remember there's a whole nother narrative going on this way. And I'll leave you with this. We always win in the end. Warriors, rise, get your shit together.
Thank you very much, Coach. Ben, I'm going to ask you, if you would like to stay up for another 20 minutes, half hour and hear about XX. If you're not aware, XX is essentially David Chaum, who is the precursor to Bitcoin. He invented eCash, Central Bank of the Netherlands, Elixir. The XX network, I think, is really interesting, at least for as much time as you possibly have to hang out and hear what they're actually doing.
I'll stay on. I'm very familiar with David Chaum. I think we actually talk about him in my new book, Catching Up with Crypto, that comes out in January. So we detail a lot of the early movers and pioneers in digital currency. So people want to check that out. It's on Amazon. Like I said, pre-orders come out on in January for the actual book.
All right, and right before we get down to the next segment, I want to leave. Jay from Spend the Bits, I hope you're able to stay on for the projects portion. Are you going to be able to stay on, Jay?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, cool, dude. Citizen, any closing thoughts as far as thoughts on the market, anything before we get into XX real quick?
Yeah, I just say, always keep researching, always keep learning, always verify double sources. Don't just take one person's information, always verify yourselves. And yeah, just keep learning. That's all I think I should say to close off. And, citizens of the future, unite. Let's not fall victim to the narrative. Always get more information from other sources. So yeah, thanks for everyone for listening to me talk, and let's have a good rest of the space. Thanks.
Thanks.
Awesome, guys. No, I really hope you enjoyed the first portion of that. There's going to be definitely more coming. All the panel speakers out there, you probably know most of them. Support their channels, support the initiatives that they're trying to provide. I have to say again, thank you to the sponsors of the LightHouse Report, Hedera, xSPECTAR, who's up here on the panel still, from the projects portion. Thank you to the sponsor. Well, thank you to the potential sponsors that have reached out to us. I know it's tough. We haven't gotten back to everybody yet. But yeah, I'm super excited because, this next portion we're moving into, and again, this show is going to have segments on a weekly basis. It's going to be every week, Wednesdays at 5. This next segment is for, a keynote speaker. This keynote speaker, and it's 2 individuals from XX Network, dealing in quantum-resistant, privacy-focused blockchain initiatives, aka digital sovereignty. They've got a major community opportunity to participate in a XX Network ecosystem expansion of up to 100,000 XX coins. So I'm extremely honored to be able to bring up Will and Ben. Can you guys maybe do a little bit of an introduction about yourselves?
Yeah, definitely. And just wanted to say, thanks, Ryan, and to the Genfinity team for putting this whole LightHouse report together. Kind of just listening into this panel through our conversations with you guys, I can already tell you've assembled an awesome community of forward thinkers. So yeah, I'm just grateful for being here. I'm going to give a brief intro to the XX Network along with my intro. And then I think we have a couple members. I don't know if Jim ended up making it into the speaker slots, but if he did, I'll let him intro himself as well. But Ben, I know, is here. So yeah, just by way of introduction, my name's Will. I'm one of the original founders of the XX Network. Currently, I'm one of the 3 directors of the XX Foundation. Got a background in computer science, project management, did a brief research stint at NASA JPL, did a lot of work for defense contractors. That was a little soul crushing, so got out of that, and joined David kind of early on, 10 years ago, I think it was, working on some next generation diffractive optics for head-mounted displays, and that's a whole story that would be interesting to tell, but maybe we'll save that for another day. But yeah, so we started the XX Network back in 2016, late 2016, early 2017, but really it's kind of been, a lifelong journey for David Chom, who was the original founder of the XX Network. And a lot of our technology is based on his early academic work, which is not only foundational to our platform, but really is kind of the basis of a lot of the Web3 space and a lot of the privacy infrastructure you see around the internet today. We'll dig into that a little bit, but the XX Network at a high level, and I am going to try to keep most of our conversation together pretty high level. We're happy to dig into technical details, but I always like to keep it really approachable for people who don't know a whole lot about the academic underbelly of the blockchain ecosystem. So yeah, really the XX Network is a digital platform, and it leverages decentralization in new ways to address what I would call real critical issues that are facing us all as global citizens. And a couple of people on the panel have brought it up as well. We're trying to take a big global high-level approach to solving real problems that people are facing on a daily basis with decentralization. So we're trying to branch a little bit outside of the original fintech or smart contract nature of a lot of the L1s you see out there. And instead, distill some of those core principles of decentralization and then apply them to make real usable applications with a focus on what I guess I would call core online social infrastructure. So we're talking social media platforms, private communications, polling, voting, and then yes, we're dabbling in the fintech space as well. We have quantum secure currencies. We're working on a breakthrough Cbdc with huge partner. We can't talk too much about that today, but we're hoping to share more about that soon. And then we're really trying to ensure that these applications that, a lot of people already use on a daily basis, a lot of this Web 2 technology, these social media platforms, private communications, we're trying to ensure that these applications now serve the interests of the users rather than what is now currently, a board of venture capitalists, or even, say an overbearing government. And, I think Kevin on here just said it, and I've heard it countless times in Twitter spaces and just interpersonally, but we really need to bring some normal people into this space. So the moms, dads, grandparents, kids, of the world. And we need to build decentralized applications that people actually want to use, that are easy to use. And that's really been a core focus of what we're doing on top of kind of the groundbreaking cryptography and tech that David has led us in developing. So that's me and the XX network. I'm going to step aside and let Ben, I think Ben's here.
Yes, thank you, Will. So I'll introduce myself as well. I'm also a co-founder of the XX Network project. I'm working with David, I think just about as long as you have, Will. We both worked on crazy head-mounted display stuff back in the day, and I focus very much on the mixed net privacy side of the XX network. It's kind of been my focus now for going on 5 years, and it really started out as a question of how you build private systems. How do you allow private communications? And that actually, as Will alluded to, started with some academic papers, and David basically shot the question of how do you communicate privately dead with a CMIX paper in 2016. And then it really kind of merged into, great, we can send this data. How do you use it? How do you transact it? What does it matter if you can send a private communication if it's kind of just lost to the ether? How do I pick it up? How do I hold my data? And that's kind of been the focus of a big focus of ours for years now, and we kind of distilled that into the XXDK. I think I want to hand it back to Will, but I think later on in our segment, we've got some big news to share on kind of what that looks like and some what I think are some real breakthroughs and how we think decentralization can really become kind of headless and serverless and completely uncensorable. Due to privacy.
Again, we do have and we pinned it to the top. We've got a big announcement that, I'm super appreciative that you guys from the XX are allowing us to share this through this first inaugural show in a way to earn XX coins. And I mean, it's a massive opportunity. Can you, Ben, maybe I muted you real quick just because I know I'm getting some background noise. I apologize. Can you, Ben, or you, Will, just for the people that may not know what XXDK or what SDK means, can you explain it to people? Yeah, you get what I'm saying.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, so SDK stands for Software Development Kit. It's basically a thing you hand to developers to allow them to easily use something. So if you've heard of Unity or Unreal, those are both engines and SDKs for developing video games. And really, when we talk about SDKs, what we're really talking about is how do you make it easy for someone to take something which is very complicated and just use it, make it as plug and play as possible.
Thank you very much. No, I appreciate it. Will or Ben, I know with the breakdown of the XX network that you guys just went through and kind of that overview aspect, one of the biggest things, and I should say, obviously, on a personal level, Darren and myself are sponsored by XX for research around privacy, digital sovereignty, quantum resistance, things like that. So I've learned a lot about what the ecosystem is trying to facilitate. Can you maybe just touch base on some of the products? And I think what you said is very smart because, in my opinion, the killer thing within blockchain and DLT that's going to create mass adoption are those seamless applications that people can utilize in a way that they're already utilizing them, but you integrate DLT, you integrate Web3 in a way that makes sense. Can you go over the project or the product line a little bit?
Yeah, so right now we have a product called the XX Messenger. You can download it now on iOS and Android app stores, and it's what I think is the world's only quantum secure decentralized messenger. And when I say decentralized in Web3, there are words that get jumbled. Oftentimes you'll have a blockchain and then your app will talk to a server, which will read the blockchain and tell the app what's going on. When you open up the XX Messenger, it literally connects to something like 10% of the XX network and starts sampling and figuring out what it's got available for it. And that's kind of what I envision as Web3, because that's what it takes to be uncensorable and truly decentralized in a way where the powers that be can't go to an intermediary and say no. So the XX Messenger is kind of the core of the product line. The foundation, I think Will might be able to talk about this a little bit more, currently has a grant program out now, which is trying to get people to take the xSDK and our technology and view them into a wide variety of products. So for example, you could build a radio system over XX, which completely hides the broadcasters and everyone who's listening. You could take XX and use it actually to build something akin to a Twitter clone, which maintains the privacy of users and what you're following pretty much perfectly. So really the XX network is kind of designed as a framework to allow the things that we envision as part of Web 2, not just the financial component, but holistically to be built in the Web 3 world.
Yeah, and I think one of the really interesting things is, solutions exist, but people understanding the problem. And when you really start looking into it, it's like how much of our data is out there that can be utilized in a way by governments or whoever it may be to pretty much hold us hostage, right? So when we talk about like Oracle, so Oracle is pretty much underpinning the majority of JavaScript aspects that we see as far as application development. And Oracle there's an article about 2 weeks ago that said Oracle has dossiers on 5 billion people in the world, which is a ridiculous statistic. So being able to, really custody your own data in a way where that it's private is insanely important. So Will, I'll let you kind of touch base on what Ben had asked. And yeah, I would love for you guys to discuss kind of this initiative as well.
Yeah, and I think it obviously goes well beyond Oracle, right? I think we would be shocked to see any major online Web 2 platform that doesn't have some similar amount of, dossier or really widespread data collection on its user base, because that's what Web 2 was built on. That's the entire business model for Web 2. It's harvesting this data of the users. And now kind of like moving on to the later stages of Web 2, it's applying artificial intelligence, machine learning to turn this, what is basically a massive trove of data on all its users and try to use it to do a couple things, to advertise to the users. If you go down, look at Cambridge Analytica again, it can be even used to, try to influence society in certain directions. So yeah, it really is kind of a widespread global problem and a key issue of Web 2 technology and the business models behind Web 2 that really needs to be addressed. And I've always found it like personally kind of, a huge like sadness that we spend basically all of our time talking about Web 3 on Web 2 platforms that can be censored. Like we're here in Twitter Spaces. Basically every conversation I have with, partners is done via Telegram. Our entire online social world is run by Web 2, and we really need to start migrating some of them over to Web 3. And that's what the xSDK is for. As Ben said, it kind of distills all of the technology we've built at the XX network. And I can give a brief overview of what that tech stack looks like. And it makes it easy for users to build replacements for these Web 2 apps that we already know how to use. And so this is actually great for getting, as Kevin was saying, the mom and pops into the blockchain ecosystem, because we can give them tools they already know how to use. We don't need to worry about educating them on, what a blockchain wallet is, how to secure their wallets. That is all something we want to do eventually, but first we want to get them in the space and understanding kind of the ethos behind this movement and what we're trying to do, which is really put them as a user in charge of their own infrastructure, in charge of the applications that they rely on. Going back to the xSDK and the foundation, which is kind of giving out pretty substantial grants for people who are building these replacement applications. The xSDK is basically bringing together our stack of technology, which begins obviously at a layer 1. Our L1 chain is extremely fast, it's efficient, but it's also quantum ready. And that's to say that the infrastructure for quantum secure transactions has already been built into the network. And I think the quantum debate has been fought countless times in countless spaces. So I won't get into that here about, when quantum computing will be here. But I will say that I think it's well understood that the migration to post-quantum crypto is going to be especially painful for the blockchain space. And I can say that both as a software developer and as a product developer, because not only are you, unlike the Web 2 space, you have to bring in a bunch of distinct kind of shareholders, coin holders around the world in different cultures. You need to bring them all together, and they need to agree not only on, which post-quantum protocol to use, but then also, how to move the entire ecosystem that has been developed around non-quantum crypto to adopt it. And that's just going to be a nightmare. And so we've tried to, address this problem early on. And in fact, we've created kind of something that we hope the rest of the space adopts, which is an intermediate cryptographic solution, which will help any chain migrate to the post-quantum world when it comes. And it's called Sleeve. There's an academic paper out there called What's Up My Sleeve. And it's called that basically because we are hiding post-quantum cryptography within the standard elliptic curve cryptography that we use throughout this ecosystem. And what that lets us do is continue interoperating with the rest of the ecosystem while being ready and able to immediately shift over to post-quantum crypto when the time comes. So we don't really need to have this conversation about, okay, is it coming soon? When is it coming? We can actually prepare for it now. It's fairly easy to do. Creating a wallet is just as simple as creating a normal wallet. It just means storing a second mnemonic. And there's even ways to mitigate that friction. So that's one thing we're doing on the L1. To kind of make everything quantum ready. But one of the more unique aspects of our tech stack outside of the L1 is basically the most private communications network in the world. And as Ben said, this is built on a protocol called CMIX, which is a mixed network protocol. And for those of you who haven't heard of mixed networks, they were originally developed by our founder, David Chaum, back in the 80s to provide privacy to packet sending applications over public networks. So this aspect, or this challenging problem of how do I send a packet to someone else on a public network without anyone knowing, number one, what it is I'm sending, but number two, that who I'm sending it to, which is a really difficult problem. So this was actually the protocol that inspired onion routing, which some of you may know Tor uses. But CMIX is kind of the next generation of this type of packet routing, and it addresses some of those fundamental weaknesses in Tor, including protecting the timing data of packets, but also traffic analysis. But more importantly, it adds a layer of incentivization and social governance to the private communications network through its marriage with the layer 1 blockchain, which we just talked about. So those are like the two base kind of tech components, I would call it, for the XX network. It's a fast, efficient, quantum ready blockchain, and it's married to the most private communications network in the world. And with these two tools, we can actually create, using the XXDK, some really unique decentralized applications in this space. So as many of you may know, like some of the most valuable Web 2 platforms in the world, they are based on communication and the ability for people to connect, socialize. And so having this decentralized communications network built into the chain is what allows us to create some unique decentralized apps in the same vein as a lot of the most popular Web 2 platforms out there. Okay, so the XXDK kind of brings together that tech stack and lets you build Web 2 replacement applications. And that's what the foundation has set up, a whole series of grants to incentivize people to do. So like one of them, as Ben said, was pirate radio, which in a lot of ways could replace Twitter Spaces. It's the same concept. It's how do you broadcast to an audience in a decentralized manner where anyone can join. It can't be censored. Either the publisher of the Twitter Space, if you want to call it that, or the followers themselves, the listeners. So, this is the type of thing you can build with. You can build Twitter replacements. You can build Signal replacements, WeChat replacement. They'll all be privacy preserving. They'll all be censorship resistant. And most importantly, they won't rely on the Web2 business model that basically incentivizes the platform to harvest your data and sell it to advertisers or to anyone who wants to buy it. Really.
Yeah, I think really, all of the applications built around privacy aspects, which are going to be inherent. And I'm certainly probably not speaking for myself, where I think we're all interested to hear the CBDC initiative that can't be talked about. Can you extrapolate a little bit on, because we have this posted above and pinned above, a big announcement, including a chance for earning XX coins, ecosystem expansion. The title of this space is a 100,000 XX coin network drop, which is up to 100,000. Talk to people, I guess, you guys maybe like 5-10 minutes. Like, how do you guys want people to participate in a way where they can participate in the community expansion? Because I think it's a massive opportunity for people. To be frank with everybody, like, you don't have to, from my understanding, you don't have to buy anything. It's literally a wallet creation aspect. You guys have some other ideas about it. One of them, like the OG of the OGs in the entire crypto space, even the precursor to Bitcoin. How do people participate in what you guys are about to facilitate, and how are they going to join in and learn more about it?
Yeah, so going back to what we're trying to accomplish here, which is trying to make real social applications in the Web3 space that are kind of adopted by a mainstream audience. That's really what we're trying to facilitate with this airdrop. We're trying to get people to create wallets, start dipping their toes into the world of governing the applications you use on a daily basis. So I know, like, personally, I have family members who hate certain things that have happened with Twitter, specifically around elections. They would love to be able to have some measure of control over the infrastructure that we frankly all rely on as a society to communicate. So this is a way for them to kind of dip their toes into that social governance reality. So basically what we're doing with the first, I guess, a tranche of this campaign, and it is going to be an extended campaign, is we're going to just try to do the base minimum first step, which is obviously create a wallet. This wallet will happen to be a quantum ready wallet. It'll have that sleeve quantum secure cryptography built into it, but we've distilled the wallet creation process into a very simple couple steps. And then we're going to, incentivize people, give free tokens that they can use to start voting in the network or even staking in the network. I think we have probably, honestly, one of the more decentralized node communities in the space. We have over 400 full node runners on, I think, almost every major continent in the world. We don't have, major exchanges, whales, the founding team or state pools that are controlling the network. It's really just, actual community members running physical nodes, usually in their own homes. And if you go to dashboard.xx.network, you can actually see live network. You can see each and every node. You can see the CMIX protocol running in real time. But that's something else we want to try to get people involved in, is having custodial control over the control of the network. So, you can stake these coins, retain custody in them at all times. And I think you can earn, I think currently the interest rate's a little bit above 20%. So we have pretty healthy staking interest rates. And so in this way, you're, contributing to the community. You're adding a voice into the development of the network, and so we're hoping a lot of people just join in. They create a wallet, and they just they play around in the network with the coins that we distribute.
Yeah, and I think it's a massive value proposition, and I know that you guys are trying to scale it out in an organic way with kind of this ecosystem expansion, and really it's an expansion in a way that it empowers people in a way, like for very easy wallet creation, governance participation. I believe that you guys may or may not be launching some sort of vesting aspects within it, but that does not mean that people can't participate, can't stake, can't participate in governance. Not financial advice for anybody out there, but one of the initial aspects was up to 100,000 XX coins. Right now, if you again, not financial advice, but if you look at XX Network's coin, about a $40 million market cap, this essentially reciprocates like a $32,000 airdrop, or up to a $32,000 airdrop for the community. And literally all that you have to do is pay attention to what is going to be posted across the social channels of XX. It's pinned above their Twitter. Create a wallet. There may be one or two other initiatives as far as like joining the Discord or the Telegram, but I think it's a massive value proposition to the community. And I know from a personal level, I definitely plan on participating. And it gets people into those discussions where you may not be comfortable or understanding like the importance of like privacy and digital sovereignty and quantum resistance right now. But I think this is the kind of the whole value proposition of the XX network in the first place. It's building applications that can stand up to when we do have quantum computing becoming mainstream. What does that look like for blockchains or DLTs that have not started building way earlier in a way that they can actually sustain themselves when this does occur? And it's just kind of that expansion aspect. So I would recommend, anybody in this space that sees the pinned tweet up above, definitely go follow the XX network. Like we said, there's gonna be a community expansion, which they just announced. Create a wallet and stay tuned to their social channels as far as potential other initiatives. And I don't know if you guys are going to be building out multipliers, doing things like that. But again, it's up to 100,000 XX coins. As far as this initiative is concerned, it's going to be a runway. It's going to be an organic runway, building out community. And right now, 100,000 XX coins, if they do, reach the precipice, and who knows where it goes, is about $32,000 USD right now. And again, I that's just common sense. You can look up this stuff. That isn't financial advice, but it's a huge opportunity for people to participate. So, thank you guys so much. By the way, let me let up 59 countries real quick for 1 second. That's Jim, right? Will?
Yeah, that's Jim.
Yeah, let me let Jim up for 1 second here. Can we let Jim up for a second, Sadaf? And then I want to definitely get into the projects portion here. But again, like I said, I think Will and Ben described it perfectly. It's a massive opportunity for people to participate in a very organic way and literally no risk, because you are you're not having to buy anything. And that's what these spaces are, and this show is going to consistently be about. It's going to be about giving back to the community in an agnostic way throughout different segments of this show. So I appreciate you, Will and Ben, for coming up. And Jim is up here as a speaker now as well. Jim's an OG within XX all the way back to early Elixir days, knows David Chaum. Jim, do you want to give us a couple of minutes here to lead us out into the next section?
Yeah, I have sort of a life story thing to share. David's always was telling me it's all about information, it's all about data and who has it. And the problem with centralization is a small group of people, they have all the information and the data, and I'm sort of like, right. And to me, it's like, oh, well, this is sort of like a non-obvious, like, what does all that mean? Like, what's your point? And his point was, well, the people who have the information and the data, they get to like control what society does. They get to control the politics. They get to control the business cycles. And we talked about that a little bit earlier, at the beginning of the spaces. Like, if the people who know when things are going to go up They're the ones who make the money. You know, what people tell you kind of in power, the government tells you is like, put your head down, go to work, don't worry about it. Other people will make the money, you know? So I just wanted to make the point that some of the stuff like Ben had said, it's like, hey, you can use the XX network to communicate and transfer data, and you can do that without the government and large corporations sort of tracking it, you know, like, what does that really mean? What that means is that they don't have the ability to track that to turn that into money. So here's my little vignette. So I grew up on the East Coast. I live in Los Angeles, which is a good friend of mine once characterized as one big come as you are party. So like Los Angeles is sort of a decentralized kind of like, it's a decentralized land. It's arguably a lot like what the rest of America will be in 20 years, but that's a whole nother story. But I moved here, but I grew up on the East Coast, and one of my close friends who I worked with in investment banking, worked at Morgan Stanley, and he grew up on Long Island. He was just like a kid. He was, a high school kid who worked hard. He was captain of his soccer team and his baseball team. He ended up on the operating committee at Morgan Stanley, and he ran the mortgage-backed securities desk there, which meant that he knew what interest rates were going to do, whether they went up or went down. And I called him up and I said to him, hey, can you back us? We're doing some fundamental research. And he said, well, I'd love to give you some money, I love to back my friends and so on, but I have this apartment building in Las Vegas. And he said, I bought it when I realized that there was going to be a real, I bought it after the mortgage-backed crisis created like really high interest rates. So I bought it for not very much. We had a little partnership, and I was like, how did he know that the interest rates were going to be like this? Oh, well, he runs the mortgage-backed securities desk. And then he said, and we sold it, made a lot of money. We sold it, right at the top of the business cycle. And I was like, yeah. And he said, so now I'm thinking I'm going to buy it back for like 30 cents on the dollar. So I can't really back you because I got to buy this apartment building. And I was like, oh my God, this is how it works. You get this guy who has all the information and has enough money to work these business cycles. He's buying and selling the same apartment building and making like a huge amount of money. And that's when I was like, really, and he's a guy, this is a real true story about, and it's just like a firsthand kind of witness of like what happens when the power is centralized and they have the information and they know what's going to happen and you don't, right? So anyway, I just want to share that story because it made a huge impact on me. And it underpins a lot of what's been discussed today, which is, if all the information and the power gets centralized, if centralized actors will have a lot of capital, can collect information and understand what's going on, the rest of us can't, there will be winners and losers. And the winners will be the centralized people, the rich people, the governments, the corporations, and the rest of us will be getting up early and, commuting an hour and a half and then working all day long and then coming home and doing it again while everyone else makes the money. So that's, I think, a human story about why we're talking about why all this stuff, this technology about information and data tracking and centralization is so important, because ultimately it has to do with what David has always said, which is the people who have the information, they're the people with the power. You need to have your own cryptographic keys. You need to control your information. You need to decentralize and you need to assert yourself. And then the world will be kind of a fairer, better place. So anyway, I hope that.
Well, I appreciate Will, you, Ben, and Jim for you guys coming up. Again, this is a massive opportunity. Literally, it's a wallet creation event. It's an ecosystem expansion event. It's an organic growth event. Getting into these discussions with people like Will, Ben, and Jim and these ecosystems and learning about how important privacy aspects are, digital sovereignty is, quantum resistancy is, and getting rewarded for doing so, I think is massive. There's a pinned tweet above to create your XX wallet, and then stay tuned to all of their mainstream social accounts, whether that be Telegram, Discord, Twitter, and literally being able to participate in an ecosystem. And like I said before, and like Will said before, and everybody else, it's up to 100,000 coins of the XX network's coins drop up to. They're going to roll this out in a very sustainable way. But, you know, for me personally, it's not financial advice, but like I said, that's a massive value proposition to this community. And it's literally a wallet creation event. And I would hope that, you know, anybody that's listening into this, knowing the history of David Chaum, knowing what XX is trying to facilitate, and without promising future value, it's a way to participate into an ecosystem that totally makes sense, because they're not asking you for anything except for a little bit of time in creating a wallet, learning about the ecosystem, and then expanding your knowledge from there. So I appreciate you guys, Will, Ben, and Jim. Thank you guys very much for coming up and speaking. And yeah, it's an honor to be able to facilitate, you know, talking with your network on this first inaugural show. Like I said before, it's kind of funny. This first inaugural show is kind of like the Genesis transaction on the XRP ledger. I thought I was recording it, but apparently I'm not. So this will go down in history as like, you know, every other one will be recorded. And this one will be as like this kind of this white elephant type aspect. But Ben, Will, and Jim, thank you guys so much for coming up. I appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for having us. It was a pleasure.
All right, guys. So like I said before, we're moving in segments during this first show. And this segment is all about the projects, all about the builders in an agnostic way. We have the HBAR Foundation up here right now. We've got Brandon from Pixel Rugs. We've got xSPECTAR up here. We have Spend the Bits. Smitty has been waiting to talk forever, and I really apologize, dude, for not allowing you to come up to talk yet. We've had so much to go through. If you have stuff that you're building out, Patches is still requesting Sadaf. I'm actually not able to add Patches up. It's giving me an error code.
Yep, I've just added him.
Okay, great. And then again, any project that is building in this space, I want you guys to request. I want you guys to come up. I want to have conversations around what these projects are facilitating, and really try to break down the silos between ecosystems and communities, because I think that this is the way that we really gain traction in this space. So happy to move forward into this segment. So I have to give a shout out to Brandon from the HBAR Foundation. What is up, dude? And thank you so much for being so patient. I really appreciate it.
No, thank you, Solomon. If you have any questions, that's fine. I can run you through the HBAR Foundation, whatever you'd like.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, like, to lead us into this segment here, can you talk a little bit from the HBAR purview and the HBAR Foundation? You know, if I were wanting to build in this space, what steps would I take? What does the HBAR Foundation do? What does the HBAR Foundation not do? You know, what are the correct steps to take for people that are really trying to build out in this space? And I would appreciate, you know, love having you up here again. Super thankful for you being so patient, and just, you know, glad to have you here.
No, it's my pleasure, and we're happy to show up here. So to start off, if you want to get involved with the HBAR Foundation, and I'll run through exactly what the HBAR Foundation is and what it does. But if you just go to the HBAR Foundation website, which is hbarfoundation.org /apply, there is a form you fill out, and that is how you get support. Even if you don't need capital, the main thing is to give capital to builders that are building in the Hrdara ecosystem. But even if you don't need capital, if you need help with marketing or developer support or anything along those lines, that's the first step. But as some may know, the HBAR Foundation received 5 billion HBAR to facilitate the growth of the Hrdara ecosystem and the HBAR economy. We do that in several areas that we've divided into funds where we see the most potential for growth. The crypto economy, also known as the DeFi fund, though it's a little bit broader than that. In that fund, we have dexes like Saucer Swap and HeliSwap and the Stater liquid staking platform. We have have the Metaverse Fund, which includes our NFT projects and marketplaces, and our move into gaming with Lithos, Reality Plus, Vavel, and more. Of course, the huge Karate Combat giveaway and DAO that was just announced today, that is part of the Metaverse Fund as well. The Payments and FinTech Fund has supported projects like Drop, a micropayments platform that should enable micropayments on Shopify and WordPress soon. The Sustainable Impact Fund, and they work in the ESG space. The Privacy Fund with great businesses like Fiduciary Data, Tomb Technologies, Privacy Check, and I Own Me. I agree with Ben, and that's Ben Armstrong, not your last guest, that the next bull run will be the time for Hbar to really shine. The startups that I mentioned are just the tip of the iceberg. Small and medium-sized businesses are building infrastructure across the entire ecosystem. Not only that, but we have all the enterprises that are building on Hbar. We have FIS WorldPay with the proof of reserves use case that was just announced. Stablecoin focus from banks like ANZ, DBS, Shinhan, and Standard Bank. LG with their crypto wallet that they just announced, and Hedera NFT-enabled TVs. We have MTech working on CBDCs, DLA Piper with Toko. For gosh sake, the Coupon Bureau is rewriting the coupon standard.
Hey, you mentioned...
Go ahead. No, go ahead.
No,
I could go on forever. That's
I know. It's absolutely crazy. Can you talk a little bit, because I missed the Karate DAO thing. I was really busy trying to put together this first show. If it's a giveaway that the community can participate in a way that, is a little bit, if it's free, if it's safe, if it is what it is, you have to have bare mechanisms for participating. So it's wallet creation, it's doing X, Y, and Z. Can you tell us a tiny bit about that real quick?
Yeah, sure, absolutely. So that's one thing I've been impressed with, the Karate Combat. I watched some of their last shows, and there is a fair amount of Hbar branding that you see on that. I want to try to track down, you might want to give me a moment here while somebody else is talking. I'll try to find all the information on it, but they're going to have a DAO. They're going to have gamification around their token, and there is going to be a huge giveaway of the tokens with airdrops across the board. All you have to do is pretty much put your email in there, and you can go ahead and participate in it. But so that's going on. That was just announced this morning. Everybody can participate on that. I'll give you a little bit more information on it in a little bit. I just want to dig it up. But it's exciting stuff. Don't sleep on Hbar, that's for sure.
Yeah, and I have to again say, anybody that is building in this space or wants to build in this space or is curious about building in this space across multiple ecosystems, this is what the entire segment of the show is about. It's about bringing up the builders, through the bear market, people that are actually going to facilitate the next wave of the bull market. And I know one of those people that's been waiting here for a long time is Jay from Spend the Bits. And Jay, thank you so much, dude, for waiting. I really appreciate it. I know we're like 2 hours deep. I know from my personal perspective, and even Genfinity's, we're building out and going to be utilizing what Spend the Bits is doing as far as, it's almost like an ERP system, or enterprise resource planning system for digital assets. At least that's the way I interpret it. Can you tell us a little bit about what you guys are doing? And by the way, congratulations as far as the hackathon aspects. Maybe tell us about that too.
Yeah. Thank you. First, thank you for having me on the show, on the space. For everyone else there, hello. I'll just start with my introduction. My name is Jaskun J. Cambo. I'm based out of Edmonton, Alberta. I'm the CEO and founder behind, Spend the Bits. Our project is built on top of the XRP ledger, where you can send fiat or crypto like email using the paystring. And we are a currency agnostic platform where, our focus is to provide interoperable multi-currency payment solution from P2P, P2B around the globe. And the basic, value proposition of the platform is our app will facilitate payments in Bitcoin, to bricks and mortar and online merchants, where transaction will be confirmed in a very fast, efficient manner, unlike the current situation, on-chain transaction with Bitcoin, where transactions are slow to process and inefficient for retail payment. And so recently we participated in the Ripple Innovate Cbdc Hackathon, where we won the first round of phase under the category of interoperability. So what we are trying to achieve here is, on a retail level, it doesn't matter whatever currency you hold. It could be, your CBDC or a fiat bank account, or maybe, digital asset, which you can transact, and then the other party, the counterparty can, will be able to receive the choice of their currency. So that's the pretty much, thing that that we are working on.
No, I appreciate it, dude. Can you talk a little bit? Because I want to get to as many projects as possible. And I appreciate the really kind of quick roundup and what you guys are building. Can you talk a little bit about the CBDC initiative and the hackathon aspects that you guys are in the finalist portion for?
Yeah. So for the Cbdc hackathon, this is where we are trying to bridge the gap between, I know a lot of projects are trying to do it, but we are, I think, really close to implementing it, where we will be bridging the gap between Web 2.0 to Web 3.0. This is where, you will be able to on-ramp your fiat asset from the banking sector, and then it will come onto the XRPL side of the house. And this is where the issuance happen in the form of IOUs. And those IOUs will have the obligation, either as a CBDC or even as a standard fiat standard, as long as there is a backing of 1-to-1, and then you can spend those your CBDCs to the retail, or you can send it to cross-border, or you can use it for for internal domestic payments.
Can you do me a favor, Jay? Can you pin whatever tweet you feel is relevant within Spend the Bit so that people can go and learn more about what you're facilitating, what you're building? Because I think and this is just my interpretation. So anybody that's that's facilitating a project out on the XRPL right now, and I actually even mentioned this to you, Jay, personally, a couple of days ago, with what xSPECTAR is doing, what Dirk's doing, and there's probably tons of other projects that would want to use this as far as onboarding and offboarding payments, and having that accounting system on top of what they're already doing is absolutely fantastic. It streamlines. I mean, our ecosystems are already streamlined, right? But you're building more efficient user experiences on top of what the ledger already facilitates. Just like we see on the Hbar ecosystem, just like we see in all these other ecosystems. Can you pin a tweet for me? All you have to do is go into Spend the Bit's Twitter. You would share a tweet just like you normally would, and just say share to this space. And I definitely want to, while you're doing that, I want to say hi to Patches, but I know Patches, you already spoke right now, but I want to have you come up again. And I want to welcome Hangry Barboons. And again, if any projects are building in this space, I don't care what chain you're on. We want to bring up as many projects as possible. We want you to share and pin what you're building. Hangry, I have to say, I'm voting 444. Politicians are temporary, but Hangry is forever, brother. So, and I had by the way, I had the pleasure of interviewing Hangry. And this is another thing that Genfinity is trying to facilitate. If any projects are down there in this space right now that want interviewed and want their project showcased for at least a blurb and links, Genfinity is building all that stuff out. We're trying to facilitate, cross-chain communities, breaking down silos, like I already said. I had the pleasure of meeting with Jorge from Hangry, or AKA Hangry, a couple of days ago. A fantastic guy, and one of these people in this space that is a creator and a founder and an artist, where I would just love to hear your thoughts for maybe 2 or 3 minutes, Hangry, about what you guys are doing, and maybe pin something that you guys are interested in pinning up in the space. And yeah, dude, go ahead.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It was a pleasure to speak to you the other day and do that quick interview. I'm glad to be up here because I think I represent a part of the community that is the entertainment and artist side of the network, and I think that's going to bring a lot of eyes onto the network. Like Hedera, our project is based on Hedera, and yeah, my name's Jorge. I go by Hangry online, and I'm a digital artist. Been a digital artist for over 10 years. My background is that I'm actually a medical provider. I'm a PA and a medical illustrator. So I brought those skills over to Web3, and I've been building since around January of this year, and engaging with the community a lot. So it's been a lot of fun. I think, like I said, there's a lot of talented people on Hedera building from the ground up. People like Patches and Brandon from Pixel Rug up here. There's so many, and it's been a pleasure to get to know everyone. So I'll try to pin a tweet. We're active in Discord and Twitter a lot, so there's a lot to dig into. But I'm basically proud to be here and sharing my artwork with the network.
Yeah, thank you, dude. And please pin whatever you want to pin within this as well. I know we've got Brandon up here. We've got Jeffrey up here. We have Ledger Scale up here. We have Patches. We have E. Smitty up here. Sadaf, I'm having issues adding Mr. The Meta Wizards dude, Mr. Aduator, which I'm definitely going to miss.
Yep.
If we can add him up here, that'd be fantastic. HBAR Suite is wanting to come up. So I want to definitely get as many people up here as possible. I'm having errors adding people up.
Yeah, there's too many speakers up here, so I may have to put some of them down and then request them back.
Just a heads up, it maxes out at 12. So if you need to leave me down or anybody else, that's
Well, I want to make sure that Jay was able to. Okay, so we did have Jay speak from Spend the Bits, and it is the second pinned tweet up here. Send and receive Bitcoin in seconds using Spend the Bits app powered by the XRP Ledger. Jay, I'm going to move you down to listeners just so I can get some more people up here. And as always, dude, it is an absolute pleasure having you up here to speak. And I think what you guys are doing is really fantastic. And I'm really excited to be integrating the portal within Genfinity as well. So thank you guys so much for everything that you're consistently doing. And by the way, anybody building on the XRPL that kind of wants that interface in a way that's seamless, X, Y, and Z, Jay is the type of dude that will work with you and integrate things that don't even exist in a seamless way and build out these aspects in real time to the point where we had a discussion with him 2 days ago, and there were some questions we had. We really wanted a seamless multi-sig and all these other aspects. And he was like, yep, we're just going to, we don't have it right now. We'll build it for you. It'll be done in 2 days. So I appreciate you, Jay. You're one of the builders in this space, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you.
And Hangry, thank you as well, dude. Hangry, please. Yep. Hangry pinned. Have you seen the new sneak peek from Hangry Barboons? If you're not in this project yet, what the heck are you waiting for? Which, yeah, I'm voting Hangry 444. What is up, Jeffrey? I'm going to let you up here to speak, Jeff. I know you came up, so.
Yeah, hello, King. Yeah, it's been a pleasure listening to this conversation. It's great to hear all the projects. We're actually fairly new. So my project is Saviors NFTs, and we're using NFTs to help spread awareness and education for occupational health. We're actually building on Hedera. And currently we're participating in a Web3-a-thon to get that initial exposure. But basically our project is a lot of people don't know what occupational health is. We're the ones who protect people from exposures to chemicals, noise, and radiation. And there's a lot of people that are affected every year by occupational health related illnesses. And the numbers speak for themselves. There's about 160 million illnesses, work-related illnesses throughout the world, and about 2.4 million deaths. And when you look at those numbers, it really compares to other leading causes of death. And one of the main reasons for that is that not a lot of people know about it. So, like John Deaton, he's representing the XRP community, but his background is asbestos exposure. And that's where he gets his passion, because he wants to protect people. And it's very hard to do because there's not very many people that do what I do. I'm an industrial hygienist by training, and there's only 7,000 of us that are certified. And so Saviors is designed to spread that awareness, but also offer a way to the holders to have a refer to earn type program, to where if they help connect us with people that need help, we can provide services and products. And there's another project that I'm working on as well, and that's called TerraChain. Probably have to change the name with what happened with Terra Luna, but basically TerraChain is designed to characterize exposures to those health hazards in a way that makes it easy for small to mid-sized businesses to capture that information. I've been doing this for 17 years, and I've worked for some major companies throughout the world. And I've seen it firsthand. You know, the information's not being passed on to the actual workers. And there's a lot of worker compensation claims that get denied because they don't have that health exposure data, what they've been exposed to. And so TerraChain is designed to do that and capture it in a way to anybody can do it. We're building a protocol that guides the user or the worker, whoever it may be, and then they're able to keep track of their own exposures. And the only way to do that really is on the decentralized network. And so they'll have ability to keep those records in their wallet. And so we're still working out all the details. And so we're waiting to see what happens with the Web3-a-thon. But I met Brandon with the HBAR Foundation down in Austin a while back at Consensus 2022. And so, yeah, we've been trying to get a hold of him to work with him. And the Web3-a-thon's been a good avenue to start us in the right direction. So we're excited and passionate about what we do. We want to be able to help people. And, just think about what maybe your family's been exposed to, some of your, siblings. And our NFTs are based on stories of people who've been exposed in the past. And we want to bring those stories to, the network and let people know there's been people who's been hurt in the past. And so everybody has a voice, and we want to make sure we carry their voice as well.
Yeah, I have to give a shout out. I forgot to do that at the beginning of this. Like, our first sponsor within the project showcase is xSPECTAR, that is up here at the panel. But it is about cross-chain. It's not just HBAR. It's not just the XRPO. I know that's where a lot of my community exists. The real goal of this is to break down the silos that exist right now, even within like Ethereum communities or Bitcoin communities, and having, giving us the voice that we feel like we need in those spaces in a respectful way where everybody can come up and talk about what they're building. So like I said, if any projects want to come up and talk right now, please feel free. And by the way, Jeff, like building out real world solutions that are going to be integrating with DLT blockchain, NFTs, whatever it may be, I think is an insane undertaking, because there's so much clarity that just does not exist right now. And I have to give you kudos, dude. So if you want to share or pin anything from the initiatives that you're building out right now, up to the top of this space, bro, I welcome you to do that, man. And I'm excited to learn more, and reach out to us if you want us to, hopefully like link your project from what Genfinity is trying to accomplish here. Even if it's just the basis of a picture and links, we're just trying to facilitate all that from the very base level. And yeah, shout out to xSPECTAR again. Like I said, Hbar Suite. I have to Ed Mortis or Tamachi or whoever's up here right now from Hbar Suite. I know you guys have been waiting to talk for a while too. I definitely want to give you guys kind of the pedestal for a minute or two here and talk a little bit about what you guys are facilitating. Yeah, go ahead, guys.
Thank you for having me. I'll keep it very brief, as I appreciate time is limited. My name is Ed Mortis. I'm the Decentralized Operations Officer and co-founder of Hbar Suite. Hbar Suite is a suite of DeFi services built on top of the Hedera native network. The team has developed a technology that could potentially replace smart contracts in the near future, the smart nodes. In a few words, smart nodes are highly customizable programs deployed inside virtual images, which can be hosted and decentralized through cloud computing environments, for example, Google Cloud and Amazon Web Services. Their purpose is to create a decentralized network of services and they leverage the Hedera Layer 1 functionalities, which are more efficient and cost-effective compared to Ethereum-based environments. We have also built a zero slippage DEX that has been audited by Hellborn Security. In order to achieve zero slippage on our DEX, we have created a new automated market maker algorithm called Smart Rebalance Market Maker, SRM. This allows users to know exactly what they are always swapping and receiving, even before executing a transaction. We're currently in our last round of investments, which is live on our launch pad, and we plan on going live in sometime in October when everything is right and ready for a successful launch. Any further questions, please feel free to reach out on Twitter and our Discord. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ed Mortis from Hbar Suite, by the way. And, one of the biggest things that I would like to say about that is, we have DEXs building out in multiple ecosystems right now. I would love to get Saucer Swap up here to speak as well, but it takes an army of co-opetition to really build out these ecosystems in a way that makes sense. Everybody's viewpoint, what everybody has built is insanely valuable. What Hbar Suite, can you reiterate one more time, and Mortis, as far as like the gasless transactions, just so people know, because that really hasn't existed yet in the Hedera ecosystem, and what you guys are facilitating within that, so that everybody knows one more time. And then by the way, please post or pin anything that you want to mention or drive people to up in this space.
Yeah, sure. So I'll pin a top in a minute. What I mean by a zero slippage DEX is, as we know, predominantly on DEXs, there is a slippage allowance where the market moves, you may not execute the price that you originally bought at. But because of the algorithm that we've created, when you press that swap feature, you know exactly what you are going to receive. So when you execute that trade, that is exactly what you are going to achieve. And that basically is backlogged into our pools. So we're the first DEX in history to be able to do this, and also smart nodes. It's only achievable on the Hedera ecosystem. That's why Hedera is superior with the consensus mathematical algorithm. So very happy and proud to be building that, and we hope to enhance the Hedera ecosystem by doing so. And I mean, there's many use cases for it as well in the future. We'll be looking out next year possibly. It's talking to Web2 businesses that are looking to branch into Web3, and we can help facilitate that with our smart node technology, make it more seamless. And also, for those that don't know, we're decentralized, and how we do that is we are going to start offering out smart node engines to our holders. So if you hold 10 million H Suite and a whitelist token for the first 100 smart nodes, they will be owned by the community. And then as the network requires it and needs more power, we release more and more. And the end vision here is that we have thousands of smart nodes all owned by the community. And we will open source our code as well. So that, even in the future, God forbid anything happened to the founders, the network would essentially still run itself, because it would be run completely by the community via smart nodes.
Yep, and I love it. And thank you so much, Hbar Suite. Please pin what you guys want to pin up so people can learn more. This just deals in, layering innovation on top of innovation and utility. And like I said, any projects down there that want to come up and speak, please come up and speak. To give you guys a little bit of a recap, the first hour of this show, we had kind of this market moves section, a very broad overview of multiple segments in this space. We had Bitboy up here, we had Crypto Eddie up here, we had Kevin Cage, we had X, Y, and Z, Darren, Citizen. So many great contributors. We had a keynote from XX Network, which is also pinned. They are facilitating up to 100,000 XX coins as far as this kind of ecosystem expansion in the form of an airdrop. And literally the only criteria is to create a wallet and pay attention to their socials to participate more. And, I think there's going to be vesting within that, which totally makes sense, but also you can participate in decentralized governance, you can participate in staking and all sorts of other aspects. And again, a shout out to the sponsors of what we're doing, Hedera Hashgraph, which you guys are going to start to see what that looks like in October. Essentially, the biggest problem that I see in this space, and shout out to the sponsors we have and the people that have reached out to us to sponsor us, which we have not been able to get back to yet. Our DMs are open. From Hedera's purview, it's more so about facilitating as many, at least in my opinion, as many interviews as possible in a really streamlined way that are like super quick, that are digestible, that people can get through. And I've been trying to knock that out as much as possible. And then another shout out to xSPECTAR that is really trying to build out cross-chain ecosystems. You'll see their portion of our projects showcase go live, which underneath kind of what we're trying to do for xSPECTAR has all the ecosystems involved, Hedera, XRPL, et cetera, et cetera. So shout out to you guys, Dirk. Smitty, bro, I know you've been in here for hours.
I'm here,
I'm really sorry. I'm sorry. Go ahead, bro. Go ahead, dude.
Man, listen, first of all, I love what you're doing. Love how you're, connecting the communities and everything. I started out as an XRP, XRPL type of person. And, I discovered cross-chaining from HBAR to LCX to Algo. So I'm building on HBAR. I'm partnering up and working with NifGen right now, and they're like the next generation and that's Algo, not HBAR. I'm building on Algo with NifGen, and they're like the next generation YouTube, which is basically finding a way to help creators monetize their music content and their video content, really just YouTube creators. So give a big shout out to NifGen.
Can you share a tweet from them and pin it up above just so that we know what that is? Because I know, dude, it's a huge, there's a huge disparity like between, musicians, whether that be indie artists or whoever, or creators as a whole, where it's like, yeah, I would love for you to share that too, because
if I can figure that out, because I'm so green in all this stuff, I'm not going to even lie. All you gotta do is
go to their, go ahead, Sadaf.
You can just send it to me. I'll pin it for you.
Sounds great. But anyways, NifGen is a great company. I'm building on Algo with them. I'm also going to be doing, NFTs, music, art NFTs with HBAR, because I love HBAR Foundation as well. And then as far as LCX goes, when you're talking about tokenization, this is literally the first, crypto that's actually like they're doing diamonds, which is NFTs that are backed in by real diamonds and so forth. So I mean, when we're talking about utility, you're talking about actually having a project and something that's real, not just like a metaverse or like a like a sim space or something, but like actually tokenization, because everything will be tokenized in the future. What I'm saying is, whether it be a book report or it's the deed to your house, or, it's the freaking title to your car, everything will be tokenized. And so what I'm saying is, like, we're so early, all of us as adopters, and, I started on XRP, XRPL, but I've moved on, 3 different blockchains. You want to talk about somebody that's integrating and doing that, number one dude on 4 different blockchains. And that's because I am passionate about my communities, and I love everybody in these communities, and the way that they've treated me, received me is like, it's like family, man. It's like long lost relatives that you never met, but then, you meet them and we're instant best friends. So, I mean, I love what you guys are doing. I love what the HBAR community is doing, XRPL, LCX, Algo. Big shout out to all my good friends out there. Christian Angier, he's an amazing guy. HBAR Foundation, they're awesome. Saucer Swap, fucking love them. Hbar Foundation, everybody, man, just period in this whole entire space. Just amazing people. And, I just wanted 2 seconds just to say how much I appreciate everyone. And I really enjoy working with y'all. And, I was the first record label. My record label is distributed by Sony, but I was the first record label to pay my artists in crypto. And so I'm going to continue doing that. And then we're going to figure out how to kind of build out from here and integrate everything together. I have a patent for my technology that will integrate. And what I want to do is take all these, poo butt music record labels, and I want to take them and we're going to make them our customers. So therefore, we're not slaving for them anymore. They work for us. And they're going to have to buy the technology from us because we're going to develop it first.
I appreciate you coming up, bro. Thank you so much, man. Please pin whatever you want to pin up at the top, dude. Kudos even talking about other ecosystems like LCX with, I think it's Tiamons or whatever. It's TIA. You guys want to check out tokenized diamonds on LCX. It's TIAMONDS. It's a really interesting thing that LCX is doing. So I know, Dirk, you've got your hand up right now. We've got Ledger Scale down here. I've got a dude from Meta Wizards, graphic designer down here as well. If Smitty, I know you've been waiting forever to talk. I'm gonna kick you down to listen. Yep, thank you. Kick you down to listeners so that we can bring up other speakers. But really appreciate everybody coming on. So Dirk, what's up, bro?
Well, hi. Thank you for having me as well. Well, Smitty brought up some interesting things. Since we are talking about multi-chain or cross-chain projects, we are also well connected with the HBAR community. I had a long call a couple of weeks ago with the HBAR Foundation, and I have to say that for xSPECTAR and myself, the HBAR community were very warming and very, very strong community, very excited as well. So it was very nice to get connected with them. Regarding the legal side of things, we touched something that is quite interesting, tokenizing real life aspects. You know that I'm a property developer, and it would be very interesting to tokenize real estate. There are some different aspects. There is tokenization of deeds, for example, but there's also the tokenization of the physical real estate, which is interesting, but legally 100% securities. That was the subject I want to touch.
By the way, an interesting point on that. And Darren's down there in the chat, and Ari's down there in the chat. I think there are workarounds within that. I don't remember exactly what they are. If I can remember them, if I can facilitate, a conversation within them, what that looks like, I will definitely get you into that conversation, because what you said is exactly correct. There's so much red tape, and it's definitely securities right now. But I think there is, at least in certain countries, a way to work around that. Yeah, go ahead, Dirk. I didn't mean
it is interesting, yeah, because, for example, I have some real estate companies, and it would be very interesting to put the real estate I actually own. So it wouldn't be raising money to buy real estate, but to put the real estate or the company which I already own and tokenize it and share it as tokens and make everybody individual co-owners of what is already there. So that's an interesting thing. I had a discussion with Jeremy Hogan about it as well, and it's probably per country, but I'm very happy if Ari and Darren would be able to help me with that. And the second subject concerning our friend Smitty is influencers and the responsibility influencers have on projects and on promoting projects. And I don't want to look at anybody specific, but we as a project, as xSPECTAR, we paid our good friend Smitty to promote xSPECTAR. And after a certain time, we decided not to do it anymore because he was promoting some projects minting on XLS 14, for example. There were some rug pulls, I think, Meta Tiger. And we really tried to convince the people we work with to be ethically responsible. And that's something that lots of influencers don't do. They push, they pump, and then they tell the community bye-bye. And I have to say, I had to come here on stage in my personal name, not in xSPECTAR's name, but some things aren't right. Absolutely not. And we have to be able to point out to the people that screw the community members as well. And I don't want anyone on stage here telling them that they like Algo and telling them that they like HBAR, because they will screw the community members in those communities as well as they did on the XRPL.
Well, we appreciate you coming up, Dirk. Fuck. No, seriously, like everything's super valid. I mean, look, I think what we're trying to accomplish here is just, really kind of agnostic viewpoints in a way where we can get everybody up here. And I've made mistakes in this space. They weren't paid mistakes by projects, but I've still made mistakes. And once you start getting over that certain threshold within a follower account, people follow exactly what you're doing across the board. And it becomes difficult to, gauge the difference between like what I'm doing personally based, it comes down to the base economics of this entire space, or even thought processes where it's like, okay, just because X, Y, and Z is doing X, Y, and Z and they have more followers than me. And this is why I think it's so valuable with what Ari is trying to do. And I think what we're trying to, and I see you down there too, Colt, I'm going to bring up, letting people or helping people do their own research is an invaluable prospect in this space. Just following, even within that first panel that we had, which had massive amounts of follower accounts, right? If you're going by any person in that panel based on your personal investment decisions, you are not going to succeed in this space, period. Especially whenever you start getting into paid aspects within this space. people that are paid for just a tweet or just a YouTube video or just X, Y, and Z. But I don't want to get into the weeds within that. I think your point is valid. I don't know the specifics. I'm glad to have anybody come up and talk about whatever they want to talk about. But as always, Dirk, like 100%, every viewpoint is valid, dude. Yeah.
You know that I'm quite confrontational, and
I know that, dude. Yeah, 100%.
You can say I will be happy to say to anybody in the community that King Solomon and Crypto Ari, they never asked me for money. No, even when I proposed them, do you want a compensation? They said, no, we want to be agnostic. We want to provide something to the community, not paid promotion. So that's the big difference. I know. And we as xSPECTAR made that decision, to choose the massive attack in the beginning and to have lots of influencers. And I've learned my lesson, and I think it's very important to tell every new project to be careful.
Well, this is a really good fucking lesson, even for like, let's say when XLS 20 goes live for the XRPL, Patches, you're next. Or actually, Patches, just you can open up your mic. You're live. But when we see like XLS 20 go live, and you start really seeing who the builders and who the projects are within XLS 20, right? You're going to start to be able to call bullshit on a lot of projects, and even in the Hedera community, or this is any community. It's just okay. The goal of all of these spaces is to break down these fucking silos in a way that we can incorporate Ethereum discussions or Bitcoin discussions or X, Y, and Z discussions. Everything that exists right now in Ethereum and Bitcoin is, in a way, legitimately where you could take a fucking magnifying glass and look at all the bullshit that exists on the XRPO and Hedera right now from paid influencers and stuff like that. And you can magnify that down, and because it's happening on XRPO and Ethereum right now, it is happening 1,000-fold on these larger scale ecosystems right now, where it's not about empowering the community. It's not about doing anything except for, and it's the same fucking money. It's the same money driving around in this small circle of the old boys club or whatever it is within like Ethereum. Like, I want to see, and this is why we start seeing like initiatives like Polygon initiatives moving towards Hedera. And this was Brandon from the HBAR Foundation did an amazing interview yesterday with Clout Art, right? And Clout Art said exactly what we're talking about right now, where there was no place for them to launch on Ethereum because they were floating in a sea of nonsense. So yeah, I mean, it's a really valid point, but I definitely want to talk to Patches and hear about what Patches is doing. I definitely, right after you, Patches, because I know the co-founder of Meta, or at least one of the supporters of Meta Wizards is up here as well. I want to get you guys all up here, so go ahead, Patches.
Sorry, I'm gonna have to head out. So I'm trying to make this quick, but thanks for having me. So building on Hedera, I'm the CEO of Turtle Moon Command Center and Hgraph Punks, and we chose to build on Hedera for a lot of reasons after doing like 4 months of research on different chains. And our main focus as a company is building green infrastructure and services for NFTs and development. And we want it to be accessible to non-technology savvy people and users to engage easily with Web3 at a cost-effective rate. And it also has parity around the Web 2 expectations that users have. And we chose Hedera because the cost, minting 10,000 NFTs is $78 on Hedera. The speed, consensus happens in 2 to 5 seconds. The fact that it's carbon negative, so not only does it use a very small amount of power, but Hedera buys carbon credits to offset that small amount of power. Its security is asynchronous Byzantine fault tolerance, which gives there's no attack the leader. There's a lot of layered security based in the underlying protocol that allows it to be extremely secure. And it's scalable, where it's throttled right now to 10,000 transactions per second, but can go up to 100,000 transactions per second when not throttled. So about a year ago, we created Hgraph Punks, which was to create the first large-scale NFT collection on Hedera, find all of the problems on the network on why can't we do that yet, and then build those infrastructure tools for the creators and builders on the network. So in that year, we've built an open source desktop application where anyone can download, no code required, can mint on the network for Mac, Windows, and Linux. We built a farming platform that had lineage abilities built in and dynamically minted NFTs that contained metadata from previous cycles. So we had turtles and they had an egg. The egg was the same color as the shell. That egg then hatched a baby little turtle, and that shell color was the same as the mom turtle, and it also had the serial number and token ID of the mom. And so that is a proof of concept for any real world use case of having a need for multiple time segmented events that also tie metadata on the ledger to each other. And we were able to facilitate that using the Hrdara consensus service, which was extremely fast and reliable on consensus. We also created the first DAO uploading platform that was token gated with NFTs and recorded the votes on Hrdara consensus service. We created an NFT launchpad built for scale. We're launching Hangry Barboons, which you talked to earlier. We launched some other notable projects, Hgraph Punks, Dead Pixels, which a lot of people know about. And we just moved about 60% of our databases all over to Hrdara consensus service to facilitate that communication and show that you don't need centralized servers to be able to function and execute use cases on the network anymore. Also created an NFT auction platform. And then the biggest piece of infrastructure is we built a new mainnet API called Hgraph.io. And this allows users to get simplifies metadata, mainnet data coming back from the mainnet. It's extremely fast. It can do data aggregation calls in seconds that wasn't previously able to be done. And we're building all of these tools in order to build a roadmap that allows new engineers, developers to come into the space, easily engage with the mainnet and this technology that I see as kind of fundamental to the next stage of where we go in Web3. And the last part is I don't see Hrdara as only a layer 1, but also a supplemental layer 2 to other blockchains that might have issues. So Hrdara is not a blockchain, it's a hash graph, it's a whole,
one of the things that we...
I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole, but...
Yeah, no. But one of the things that...
Last point?
Go ahead.
Yeah. So if you're on Solana and you want to build a staking platform and you can't guarantee on mainnet linear timestamps because sometimes it goes down, it doesn't go in linear fashion, you can have a Solana wallet phantom connect to your dashboard. You can have someone do an event recorded on the Hrdara mainnet service, which is 1,000th of a penny and reaches consensus in 3 seconds, and then use that as a documentation of time in a decentralized manner to then pay out your staking coin again through Phantom or Solana. So I think there's a really high usability perspective of having Hrdara as a supplemental layer 2 to other layer 1s to fix the friction points they might have in a very cost-effective, green, simple solution.
That was exactly what I was going to ask you about, because we were in a Spaces yesterday talking about synergy, talking about XLS20, and the XRP ledger is one example where the Hrdara community flushed out metadata standards over months and months and months and months. And it's like, why would we reinvent the wheel on the XRP ledger if it's already functional and working in the correct way in an ecosystem like Hrdara? And even if it deals in integrating at the onset, it gives a benchmark of saying, while the XRP ledger develops out and puts out these, validator proposals within that ledger, why not use things that already exist until we get there? And Patches, thank you so much for coming up, dude. Do you want to pin anything to the top? I definitely, there's so many hands raised down here. I want to get to, go ahead.
Just last words and I'll pop off. The just specifically XRP metadata standard, the way that Hrdara has done it with HIP 412, it's kind of revolutionary in how NFTs can be distributed, where there's a file array that has external files that aren't a part of the main NFT image or file. So there's people that have released comic books on Hrdara that have multiple files of each page up to they have 24. I don't know what the limit is. But that metadata standard allows for an insane amount of versatility through music albums, through any collection of one NFT, one token ID, one serial number, but a plethora of content that a creator would want to give as a album or some other, combination of that art. So if XRP is looking to do metadata standards, I'd highly look at the HIP 412 and what we've done on the iteration and start from that boilerplate to adapt to what makes sense for your community. But the biggest problem of the last year of our network was taking 5 to 7 months of deciding what the NFT standard was. And so we have a lot of old NFTs that don't fit it. And if you have that metadata standard right when it hits the network, you're gonna lose all of that friction and time wasted and be able to excel. So that's just my last 2 cents, and I'll pin up one other thing up at the top of my jumbotron.
Dude, I super appreciate the patience as well. I know that we kind of had this show laid out, which we're going to consistently have. I think we're learning, even within this first episode, like, because there's so much valuable content in here, I think, for the community. And like I said before, it's like the Genesis transaction on the XRP ledger. This will not be fucking available for anybody. But moving forward within next Wednesday, like, this is going to be every week. So next Wednesday, we're going to have another space at 5. We're going to have keynote speaker. We're going to have X, Y, and Z. We're going to figure out ways to streamline this, because it's really like the Wild West once you start this, because everybody comes up. We might have a format, but it's always going to shift and pivot and be, it's a great analogy towards what blockchain actually represents and DLT actually represents, in a way where, like, nothing is exactly the way that you plan it to go, right? I want to let up Ledger Scale, because I know Ledger Scale has been sitting in the audience for a while, and then I want to get to you, Mr. Duator, co-founder of WizUp Radio. But yeah, Ledger Scale, please go ahead. And if this is Karma or Death Ranger, these guys are educators as well in this space. They are facilitating tons of information. They hold up Twitter spaces all the time. They do this on a consistent basis, and there's so much value out there. The goal for what we're trying to facilitate right here is just, value in an agnostic way across chains, breaking down silos. And Karma's trying to do the same thing. Ledger Scale is doing the exact same thing. So please come up and speak, Ledger Scale. I really appreciate you guys being here. So
thank you so much, Solomon. It's Death Ranger. I'm not sure if Karma might be in the speakers right now, but first thing first, right? Welcome to the Twitter space world, right? Because you're just getting into it, and it's gonna be such an adventure. This first space was just, this has just been an amazing space. This is probably one of the best Twitter spaces I've ever been in so far, and so here at Ledger, right, for Ledger Scale, we're all about the Internet of Value, blockchain agnostic, anything having to do with Web3, financial markets, macro infrastructure, the whole topographic models of the complexity science behind the entire world infrastructure and the way that we are interconnected as a species, and where I think and we think it's going to go in the future. And so I thank you for coming up, giving me the opportunity to speak, and I really look forward to the future Twitter spaces you guys are going to hold.
Can you do me a favor, Death? Can you please post or pin links to Ledger Scale so that we can everybody that's down there in the audience right now can go and follow and join and participate in the spaces that you guys are facilitating. I will say, and we'll get to the next speakers up here in a second, listening to Death Ranger and Karma coverage, and Karma's an OG in the XRPL community. Death is certainly an OG in the XRPL community. And this isn't just about the XRPL, but it's about synergy and thought processes, to the extent where we are all doing the same thing across all these ecosystems. And we all think that these ecosystems are going to be built out in a certain way where it's going to be the end all be all, or it needs to interoperate in a way that the utility makes sense. And Death Ranger, who just came up from Ledger Scale, said one of the smartest things I've ever heard in this entire space, which I've said multiple times on multiple spaces. Blockchain, DLT, and Web3 represents a Cambrian explosion in human evolution. And I 1,000,000% believe in that, because the tool sets and what is being built right now is, integrating the Internet of Information into the Internet of Value. And we all understand this. People that have been here for a while, we get this. But it's about making it easy to understand for the mass populace. And bro, I love you guys. I love you, Death and Karma, and what you guys are facilitating. Please pin what you want to pin up there. I do want to get to, I'm going to mispronounce you again, Mr. Aduator, co-founder of WizUp Radio and a certified MetaWizards NFT holder. So what's up, bro?
What's up? What's up? Thank you so much for giving me the time. It's an honor to be with so many great people in this space right now. But yeah, I heard you talking about bringing up projects and what trying to do whatever you possibly can to expose them. And you know what? I just took my chances and I put in that request. But I definitely wanted to speak because I am basically the head community leader for the Meta Wizards. Basically, we're a play-to-earn video game that you're going to be having the opportunity to race 8 wizards in. The first top 3 wizards are going to be, giving you Meta Wizards tokens. That's going to be our native token. And the cool thing about this native token is that it's going to be a part of the Hedera ecosystem because shout out to Cam HBAR, but he got us connected with the HBAR Foundation, and we started talking with them, and they ended up giving us a mighty fine grant, and we definitely appreciate for them. So we just do whatever we possibly can to not only integrate our selves ecosystem wise, but as community wise, I try to do my best to meet as many Hedera communities, try to connect each other and come up as one. So that's basically what the Meta Wizards are. I definitely do thank you for your time, bringing my community up. We just ended up collabing with a pretty big major Hedera community. I don't know if you guys know the Dead Pixels, but we ended up collabing with them, and we're gonna make amazing things while making this amazing game for this amazing community and ecosystem. So we're definitely excited, and I can't wait, and definitely want to talk to you guys, everybody here personally, and really get to know you guys, because that's what we're all about. Everything's community driven, no influencers paid or anything like that. Just doing whatever we possibly can to give back to our community because they gave so much back to us. So
yeah,
thank you.
one of the things that I wanted to say, if anybody in here right now that's a speaker or even a listener or whoever can pin onboarding aspects into these communities, deals, and wallets, right? I mean, that's kind of, I forget who said that very early on, but it really does start with wallets. Like if we can potentially pin, the way to integrate with Hashpack. And I don't know, HBAR Foundation or Brandon, if you're able to potentially do that from the Hedera ecosystem or even from the XRPL, anybody in here for some, I want, we hear all this cool shit that everybody's building. And at some, over the next episodes, we're definitely going to be bringing in people from other communities because I think that is exactly what is needed. And creating synergy, there's already synergy between the XRPL and the Hedera ecosystem. So that's a lot of this space right now, which is totally fine with me because I love both of these communities. But, we really need to branch out and get these key opinion leaders from these other ecosystems. Maybe Bitboy was the start of that, and how that could develop over time. That's the goal, though. The goal is to reach out into these other ecosystems that have massive amounts of liquidity, massive amounts of value, and teaching people, or at least showcasing to people, how they could learn from themselves and onboard into the wallet aspects and the user aspects. So Brandon from Pixel Rugs, bro, I'm super excited to have you here as well, dude. And thank you so much, Brandon, for waiting and being patient. I know that this has been a long spaces and a long show. They're all going to be long spaces and long shows, and we're going to record them from moving forward. But you guys get the gist of what we're trying to accomplish here, and we're just going to move forward and streamline and make this as great as possible moving forward. So thank you, Brandon, for coming up. What's up, bro?
Oh, I haven't been waiting. I've been listening on the edge of my seat. This has been, I think many people have said this so far, an amazing spaces, and I'm really excited to see how the weekly show progresses. And just a note for you, King, not all hope is lost. I think when you end the spaces at the end, it asks you if you want to save the recording. So don't hold me to it, but I think this one might be saved. So don't lose hope. But a little bit about me. I've been in the Hedera HBAR community for a while, and I have an NFT project called Pixel Rug. I'm also a musician, a creative agency owner, and I run a weekly HBAR News and Rumor Spaces. I've had the pleasure of having King on those spaces, which is always deep talks. I love it. But a little bit about my project, and then I just wanted to share a takeaway and then an example of something that I found interesting. But my project, Pixel Rug, is one of the first NFT projects on Hedera, and one of the first 3D metaverse projects minted on Hedera, launched in November, minted in December last year. Also transitioned to the multi-file NFTs that Patches was talking about earlier. So we have, 2 sold out series, which was fantastic. I'm moving the project now into commission artwork, which I think is really fascinating. One thing that I love about these new Web3 technologies is how it connects people together. And with my NFT project, I have a lot of holders out there now. So what I'm offering to them is an opportunity to connect with me and work with me directly to design a piece of artwork in the form of a 3D metaverse rug for them, and mint a one-of-one of those that they can use to decorate their space in the metaverse. They can beam it in augmented reality onto the floor. And, it was just so enabling and empowering to me as a creator, being able to put my artwork out there and sell it to people without a third party. I'm just excited for more artists and creators to experience those simple pleasures of Web3. But one takeaway from me from the spaces that I actually found really powerful was the concepts of course, like getting outside of our silos a little bit. I'm definitely in the HBAR ecosystem, but hearing ideas and hearing thoughts and perspectives from people on other networks, that's what makes all this happen at the end of the day. We're all in the same boat, trying to do the exact same thing. And for me, what I'm realizing more and more is ensuring, like, my friends and family and folks outside of crypto just kind of understand the basics of DLTs. This technology that we all share, because when we talk about all these crazy things people see in the news, NFTs being crazy, CBDCs, crypto goes up, crypto goes down, it can be overwhelming for so many people. And I think that what's so important, especially with, in the coming months with the holidays and seeing family and everything, I think it's so important to teach these folks about DLTs and just some of these basics, because you get a little less scared of things that you can understand. So I think that's a big takeaway for me from this spaces, is realizing that, especially what Bitboy was saying at the beginning, paying it forward, sharing the knowledge. And I think what that leads me to is kind of an example that I wanted to share from the Hedera HBAR ecosystem, which was trying to find ways and just by the way, I pinned something from the Pixel Rug project to the top there. But what's important, I think, is finding ways to show people how these types of new technologies fit in with their life. I think that a phrase that I hear a lot in the Web3 space is people are going to use these technologies without even realizing it. And I wanted to give an example from the Hedera ecosystem, something that the other Brandon from the HBAR Foundation touched on, which was coupons. So there's a current standard 8110 that, if you use a coupon, it's most likely the 8110 standard. The industry is moving to a new standard, 8112, and that standard is going to utilize Hedera Hashgraph. And what's great is it's going to eliminate coupon fraud. You're going to have new high-tech coupons, all these wonderful things. But what it really boils down to is, most likely in the coming months and coming years, when somebody goes to the convenience store or the gas station or the grocery store or whatever and uses a coupon to get that 25 cents off of milk, they will have used a DLT network, right? Hedera Hashgraph. And what makes that really exciting for me is now I can explain DLTs to family members in a way that they can understand, and I can say, hey, this is a network that's out there, and here's how you've used it without realizing it. And the power is there's this thing called HBAR that you can purchase and participate in that network, because that's what's used to pay for the fees of the network. And it creates that instant connection for people So NFTs are really exciting. DeFi is really exciting. DAOs and all these things are really exciting. But for me, what I think is going to be the ultimate connector is seeing the realization of that concept of people using these networks without even realizing it. And our job being those connectors to say to people, listen, you're using these things. It's not that scary. And you can kind of reach out and grab a little piece for yourself and participate. So for me, that's what I'm really taking away from this. I think I'm going to reflect a little more on some of those use cases that do that. And just before I throw it over to other panelists, I also just wanted to share a Twitter community that I have, the Hashgraph enthusiast community. Why I wanted to share it here is, again, perspectives from people on other networks. So, I mean, if you're curious about HBAR, if you're already building an HBAR, or if you have insights to share with the Hrdera community, this Twitter community is a great way to cut through the noise of crypto Twitter, reach the HBAR community, and share those ideas. So, I mean, if you're listening to the spaces, follow the people on stage. I know King Solomon is down there as a listener, but you should follow him as well. Follow the folks up here. The best thing we can do right now is stay connected, share the knowledge, and, as we've been saying here, step outside of our silos, step outside of our bubbles. We're all on the same boat. We're trying to do the same thing. So let's do it together. And I actually didn't know going into this was going to be a weekly thing. So I just filled it up in my calendar. I'm like super jacked about this. So I'm really excited.
I mean, it is like the Wild West right now, bro. I will tell you that 100%. But what I will also say is there's so much synergy and thought between all the community builders in this space, to the point that we all know the real mass adoption in this space is about using DLT aspects in a way that we don't even realize that we're using them. So my response to you, and I definitely want to get down to War Turtle down there, because I know you've had your hand up. Like what Crypto Airy that was in here for the first panelist, her building out a really comprehensive review proposition for projects in this space. It's not just dealing in Hrdera. It's not just dealing in the XRPL. It's not just dealing in Ethereum. There's benchmarks you can look for to help you do your own research. And that's a contributor that is trying to facilitate real value in this space where, it helps us to try to learn about what's actually occurring. The second portion to response to what you're saying right now is where we're using DLT in a way that we don't even realize we're using it. This just happened over the past 2 to 3 years. I was on the Twitter Spaces yesterday or the day before and mentioned this. How many of us have went to the grocery store over the past 2 or 3 years and they ask us to top off if it's $54.61? So like, do you want to top it off to $55 and donate to a charity? And that has just started literally over the past 2 to 3 years with how digital things are becoming. And I was in an interview with Christian Hasker like a month or two ago. And he basically made that same analogy, but then also said, imagine being at the grocery store 5 to 7 years from now and you have to top off your carbon offset. Like, it's a crazy perspective. Like,
whoa, that's crazy.
But it's 100% going to happen. And he's like, I think Hrdera is going to corner that, which is freaking crazy to even think about what that represents. Being so green within the digital economy is a massive proposition. And that's not just a Hrdera statement. That's an XRPL. That's all sorts of statements. But that interview with Christian, just like every interview that I ever had with that dude, opens up a ton of eyes. And to give you guys a heads up, like, I have to give a shout out again. I know that we're like 3.5 hours in to the sponsors of what Genfinity is doing, and to the sponsors or the potential sponsors that have reached out to us in DMs on Twitter. Hrdera Hashgraph is sponsoring the LightHouse report aspects starting October 1st. This is just a small taste of what that looks like. I have been, and we have a small amount of deliverables. My big proposition always in life is under promise and over deliver. I think that reaching out to as many projects in the Hrdera community is a great value proposition in a way that's digestible to people to take these quick hitting interviews. And, if I can facilitate that, I'm going to do it. And then I have to give another shout out to xSPECTAR. Yes, xSPECTAR is building on the XRP ledger, but xSPECTAR has decided to sponsor Genfinity's project showcase in a way where literally, it's not justified in a way that we can facilitate it, but it gives us that little bit of a runway to onboard multiple ecosystems, not just the XRPL, not just xSPECTAR, not just Hrdra Hashgraph. It's multi-chain. You know, Hrdra is, or xSPECTAR is the first sponsor, or is the first sponsorship within that project showcase. We have some more kind of in the workings, but I want to give a shout out to Dirk for allowing us to really facilitate this vision about creating cross-chain communities, breaking down silos, doing the things that we know that we need to do in this space. So I have to give a huge shout out to Hrdra and to xSPECTAR, and for everybody else that's messaged us. Our DMs are open, but we'll get back to you when it makes sense because we're building out slow and organic. I want to get to the next requested speaker down here, though, which is certainly Wartortle. Graphic designer, NFT creator, collector, crypto hodler, trader, mental freedom, financial freedom. And after we get through this, guys, to give you a heads up, we're going to do this for about 10 or 15 more minutes. Any projects that want to come up over the next 10 or 15 minutes, great. And then we're going to leave this with the last half hour for a community AMA. So we'll try to get through the questions in the chat, and we'll try to bring up anybody that wants to come up and talk from the community aspect as well. But what's up, Wartortle?
Yo, what's up, man? I go by Wartortle. I'm coming from the XRP Ledger. I'm dropping a NFT project on when XLS 20 comes, but I didn't want to come up here to really talk about that project just yet because it's still some time for that to happen. But I am since we were on the subject of wallets, I did start another small business of mine that is where I'm providing private key booklets I got a ledger and my key cards from my ledger are already all filled up. And so I needed some more. And I thought it would be a good idea to make more booklets because I got a Zum now, and I got MetaMask and all these other wallets that I need key cards for. So I wanted to come up here and talk about that. And I put a video or the tweet right here, right up on the Jumbotron of what they look like. If you guys want to, check it out. It's just simple booklets of cardstock. If you guys want a spot to put your guys' private keys on, you can do that. So it's a physical product. I already have them made, and they're ready to go.
So what are they like? So you ship out a physical product and you allow people to like put their private keys on it and just custody it in the way that they want to custody it?
Yep. It's just like, so I don't know if you guys got like a Ledger Nano, but so those booklets that came with the Ledger Nano that come with the seed phrase card on it, it's just like that. So it's a booklet. It comes with the seed phrase card, blank ones. You can write what wallet it belongs to up on the top, and then you can write your seed phrase.
You know what's a really fucking cool idea if you were to do this? What if you use like allow it to be in a way where you could almost brand the key cards in a way where it's like, I'm going to have like the HBAR symbol and send these like kind of, I don't know what are they made of?
It's all cardstock. So it's like, okay. Like if you got a business card, it's like, like it feels like a business card.
No, that's cool. I like it. I mean, we were even seeing back in 2017, 2018, I don't know. This is an XRP community member, but Sam I Am was like doing videos about him hard stamping metal plates with his private keys.
Yeah,
and like burying them in the backyard.
Oh my god,
it's a great thing. But like, there's so many opportunities, like even just for branding aspects and just empowering people to like really take custody of their own aspects, and just there's a market around that even, dude. So I appreciate you coming up 100% and talking about what you're doing. And thank you for sharing and pinning what you're talking about as well.
Yeah, not a problem.
What's up, Too Cold? If Too Cold's there. Too Cold sometimes puts us on hold. So while Too Cold might be coming up, HBAR Foundation, I know that we kind of interrupted like halfway through because there was so many relationships and partnerships going on with Hrdra.
No, it's fine, buddy. Pretty much I got through everything I was going to say. I know that we pinned the information for the karate combat stuff that you were asking about, so I think we should be all set there. But yeah, it is safe. I know you had that question as well. It is safe. They are sponsored by the HBAR Foundation, so you should be all set there. Just take a look at that pinned tweet.
Thank you so much. And yet, by the way, guys, there's so many pinned tweets up here. So I would love to bring up any community questions. Sadaf, if we have community listeners that want to come up, I would like the panel up here to stay if they can, unless we have to put people down a listener, and answer as many questions as possible, or at least Sadaf maybe, and I'm sorry for not allowing, not allowing, but just running this entire space. If we want to read some of these questions off and hear some of the panelists' thoughts on it, or allow people up to speak and then try to end this maybe in 30, 45 minutes as we close this out. And again, guys, there's tons of pinned tweets up at the top. We started this space off every week, Wednesday at 5:00 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to have this space. And this space isn't just a space. It is a space that is, more of a show to break down silos. Community members, projects across the board. We're going to start with kind of, some of the researchers, some of the, I guess I would say, key opinion leaders, not financial advice. And I want to bring more on. So if it's like, if the panel that we have up here at the onset, you guys would like to see shifted, this is for the audience down there. Like, I want to bring up whoever we can possibly bring up. All I can do is manage what I can do. So I know that the LightHouse contributors are good people. They try to contribute value into the space. Ari, Darren, Citizen, Tokenizer, Pre-IPO, Santiment, all these different individuals within what we're doing. That's going to be the first hour with, hopefully more people. Then we're going to have a keynote, hopefully weekly with like Brandon from the HBAR Foundation. I really want to get you guys on a keynote one of these weeks, and I think it's the spot for the HBAR Foundation. And then there's going to be more of those, obviously. And then we move forward into projects where we just allow an open forum for all projects across all ecosystems to speak, talk, give pin tweets, talk about what they're doing, create ecosystem engagement. And then at the end, which is what we're doing right now, I want to bring up as many community members that want to ask questions, or maybe we get through a few of the questions and try to roll it. We're going to streamline this a little bit better next time. I'd like to keep them in 3 hours. But right now we're at 3 hours and 5 minutes, and I've still got a little bit of energy. So let's roll through the questions, Sadaf. And if anybody wants to come up to talk, let's do it, and let's get through it. Too Cold, if you're there right now, before we get to it.
Yeah, I'm here now. My bad.
Yeah. So you heard that though, Too Cold, but I did want to, before we got into this last segment, allow you the opportunity to talk about your platform, allow you to talk about what you're facilitating on the XRPL. Dev testing wallets, stress testing, Web 2 platforms, doing the stuff that we need to do to make sure that this space really grows in a way that makes sense. So I would love to hear your thoughts for like maybe 5 minutes, and then let's get into the community Q&A and try to wrap this up like in the next hour.
All right, cool. Thanks, Solomon, for having me. Appreciate it. If you guys don't know, my name is Too Cold. I host a lot of spaces in the XRPL community. The most commonly known space that I do host is what started it all, and that's I call it the Too Cold XRPL Cookout, where I invite 2 to 3 projects every single Sunday to come and talk to and with the community, not to shill their project, but to come educate us about it. So there's no time limit. So the calls generally run hours, right? Because I let the project speak for as long as they need to, and open the floor up after each project to come ask questions. And there's no time limit on the questions either. And what Solomon is talking about as far as hosting these calls for the XRP Ledger right now, if you guys are in the ecosystem, you guys do know that we were like 48 to 24 hours away from XLS20 going live, and then they found a bug. So in that time, there was going to be some new marketplaces that were going to launch when XLS20 went live. And this has given these marketplaces more time to test out their platform. So a couple of the marketplaces have opened their marketplaces completely open to the public right now to get on there and practice minting, buying, and selling, and to keep track of data and feedback from the community. And so what we've been doing for the last 2 weeks is a community member in my regular calls suggested that we do a mint a mint raid. And since I have the voice and the reach to make that happen, you know, I made his suggestion happen. So we've done 2 mint raids. One with NFT Master Com is going to be a XLS20 marketplace when XRP Ledger has when XLS20 goes live. And this Tuesday we just had XMart marketplace. And you need to have a test dev wallet enabled, your Zum wallet, in order for that to happen. And a lot of people in the community don't know how to do that. So both of these calls, we walked through it with these platforms, NFT Master and XMart, and we took it step by step, how to create a dev wallet, and you know, get it funded with the quote unquote fake XRP, right? And then they walked us through how to use and utilize their platforms. And when we do these type of calls, it creates a database for them to catch glitches that they might not be able to catch right now, even though the marketplaces are open for everybody to use. Everybody is using them at a different time, right? But when you're expecting for XLS20 to go live, we're all expecting that there's going to be heavy traffic on all of these marketplaces. So there's going to be plenty more marketplaces that are open once XLS20 goes live, but there's only very few that have them open right now for the community and not just the projects. And then there's some that just are not even letting anybody, like projects or people, test it, just their team.
I have to give you a shout out too, Cole, because I think this is insanely important, where not only the XRPL aspects, not only the Hedera aspects, you know, we could make this assumption within pretty much everything that exists in this space, where if you want to participate in Web3, you have to be walked through in a way that you're comfortable with, right? And it's not, it's the network for sure, and trying to support the network. This is why there's so much synergy between what I've seen with HBAR community aspects and XRPL community aspects, where you really have just really great people trying to help. But also it's kind of that video aspect. And I know that you're going to be facilitating that too, Cold, where it's like showcasing like the wallet setups and things like that. I think it's a great initiative to Brandon from the HBAR Foundation to be able to, maybe that's one of the things that we try to brainstorm. If you're interested, like I would love to be able to just talk with you about like driving traffic towards wallet creation and then creating community initiatives around that after you've benchmarked yourself, you know, as a new community member to create a wallet. You know, it's a massive value proposition. Go ahead, Brandon. I'm sorry.
No, I couldn't agree more. Our team is spread, you know, thin. We're just trying to find as much talent, as many developers, as many startups as we can. So we have a very small marketing team. Swirls Labs, Hedera has a bigger marketing team, but you know, anything we can do to get some help in that department, we appreciate it.
Yeah, 100%. And Too Cold, I think it's the same thing, right? For the XRPL, we want to make sure people are creating some wallets. We want to make sure people are creating DevNet test wallets to help these platforms be able to withstand the traffic that they're probably going to start having once XLS20 goes live for minting process.
Yeah, 100%, right? Because just right now, if you are on the XRP side of things, you do know there is a platform that is staying their NFT marketplace, whatever, right? But there's you know, they're not even opening it for testing, and there's supposed to be a bridge for these XLS14 marketplaces, for these XLS14 NFTs to be switched over to XLS20 NFTs. I've talked to a lot of projects that are on this so-called platform, and I've asked them, so how's the bridge work? Like, can you explain it to us? Like, because a lot of the community have these NFTs and they want to know. And none of the projects have tested it. They say they don't know.
Talking about bridging between different ecosystems? Sorry, I was reading some of the questions.
No, I'm talking about the bridge of the XLS14 NFTs to turn them into XLS20 NFTs. So if projects that are on this platform don't even know how to use, like, so who's testing the platform? Is it just the team member? You know what I mean? Yeah.
We have to even,
but I'm
like,
just,
people in this chat might not even know what XLS 14 is versus XLS 20. You know, this is how deep we have to go with, like, the educational aspects, just because of the fact that, like, we have Hrdera. Yeah. You want to explain,
and that's why I host all these calls, right? Because I don't just host these 2 calls. There's pinned to my page. I host a lot of calls throughout the week, right? Alongside, you know, I don't just host calls in the community. I'm also ambassador for 3 projects to help educate about the projects that I'm ambassador for as well, right? xSPECTAR, Combat Kanga, and XBot, right? And along with educating throughout the week on various topics on the XRP ledger, about Zum Wallet, about projects, right? That's why I do the cookouts, so that projects that may not have a lot of limelight because they're not hype projects, but I've done research, or community members have hit me up and they're telling me they're in this project and this project is doing that, and I'll do research on it. And it's like, okay, I have the platform to try to help reach a larger audience. So that's what those calls are for.
Can you do us a gigantic, like, just like I've asked everybody else within this, because I want everybody to join into the cookouts and everything else that you're facilitating, because it's immensely valuable. Can you please pin, like, the link to the cookouts up above? That would be fantastic, because I think what you're doing, Too Cold, is absolutely amazing. And as many people that can join as possible, I think is great. And like I said, I'll try to join as much as I possibly can. And I want to get to questions, though. And thank you so much, Too Cold, for coming up. Please pin.
For sure. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I put it up top. So my schedule's up top. And yeah, if you guys have any questions, and I don't just host those scheduled calls either. I like hang out in spaces all day. So if I'm bored and there's not really any spaces going on, I host spaces and the community comes in, and there's always good conversation and good information passing through. And I'm going to be 100% honest, like King Solomon knows, Sadaf knows, everybody who's in the XRPL community who have been in my space calls. I'm not your normal space call host, right? Like, I don't sugarcoat anything. There's a lot of cussing. There's a lot of shit talking. I make it entertaining. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Cold Spaces. If you've never watched,
I make it a vibe. I make
the movie
it a vibe.
Friday, the movie Friday, where it's like with Ice Cube and Chris Tucker and those people, Cold will straight up change the entire space to the Debo voice and like just wreck what's going on. But because, I mean, she's honestly like 100% like what you're doing, Too Cold, is like facilitating real interviews. I want to get into the community questions that we have right now, Sadaf, and let's lead out this kind of Twitter space in this way. We definitely have some Hrdera questions, so I'm glad that Brandon from the HBAR Foundation is still here. The first question that we have from the community, Brandon, is how would a project built upon Ethereum move or go cross-chain into Hrdera? Like, how would that work? What aspects exist? What doesn't exist? Yeah.
Well, first of all, I am not a developer. So, you know, we can bring somebody on here that would be able to answer these questions a little bit more thoroughly. But, you know, it's an EVM. You can build Solidity on Hrdera as easily as you can do it on Hrdera. So anybody who's building in that ecosystem, in the Ethereum ecosystem, should be able to come over fairly easily into our ecosystem and start building. And we have developer advocates that work with Swirlds Labs that are dedicated to helping that transition take place. So yeah, it certainly shouldn't be a problem. It should be a fairly easy transition for anybody who's building.
All right, another question that we have for the panelists up here right now, and this is somebody that's trying to build in the space. Am I ahead of the game if I'm building my project on Ethereum versus a network like the XRP Ledger or Hrdera Hashgraph? So if somebody's just straightforward, like not really into this space yet, not doing a lot, I guess your opinions on, like, are you able to succeed building if they're trying to build on Ethereum based on how many people are there versus a network like Hedera or the XRPL.
I was just going to say, I mean, if you're building, you're ahead of the game. It doesn't matter the network. Just dive in and start building and learning and making connections. And like a lot of us here, you'll find the network that's right for you, right? Each one has its own benefits and specialties and cool quirks and features. So just start. If there's something that you can do to grab on and build something, just make something cool, and you're going to continue making steps, and you're going to find your corner of crypto to build. So you're already ahead of the game if you're building.
Yep. And Jeff, this is an open forum. You do not have to have your hand raised at the end of this. Another question that we have is: are there gas fees on Hedera Hashgraph or the XRP ledger?
Sure. So I'll take that as far as the gas fees. Hedera has a fee schedule that's published. It depends on what you're doing. So, for example, if you're just doing a cryptocurrency transaction, that's only 1/100th of a cent. It's paid in HBAR, but it is pegged to dollars, so we can talk about it in dollars and cents. For something like a token transfer, the Hedera token service, that's 1/10th of a cent to transfer those. If you're doing a smart contract call, it's 5 cents. And on down the line, I would just suggest going and taking a look at that full fee schedule. Now, Hedera is the most efficient network on Earth, and that was confirmed by a University College London study and a separate study done by the University of Singapore. And it comes down to more than just the ESG aspect of it, more than just the environment. That's certainly good, but it comes down to dollars and cents. It allows us to have those super low fees. So I hope that answers the question.
Yep. Go ahead, Too Cold. Sorry.
Oh, damn, right when I have my mouth full. So I heard it asked about, the question asked about the XRP gas fee as well. So the XRP gas fee is very minimal as well. Right, it is 0.0, like 5012, and no matter how much you're moving across the network, if there is high traffic on it, I think the most that it will go up to, and it will give you the option to use low gas fee, medium gas fee, or high gas fee. And at the high point, it will be at 0.50 will be paid in XRP. So you can move, a bit will be between that cost, and it is also a carbon neutral friendly ecosystem as well. And
no, I appreciate both you guys. Oh, go ahead, Too Cold.
And it moves at the speed of a text message, basically.
Yeah, I think there's synergy and thought within that too. We've all seen the efficiency of both ecosystems. Sadaf, do we have any other questions, or do we want to?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, we do. So instead of just bringing them up, we'll just go through it. I've got them all here. So one of them is about, we mentioned the rapid fire interviews for the projects that Genfinity will be conducting. How can people apply for that?
Yeah, I mean, so it's extremely simple. I've reached out personally to a lot of projects and been able to facilitate a lot of that at the onset. But you can message Genfinity if you want to pin Sadaf, or at least just click on the Genfinity symbol and DM us if you guys want an interview. And this isn't just projects, by the way. My ideation of where we really take this from a Genfinity aspect with these shows and everything else that we're trying to facilitate should never just be about projects. It's about community members as well. Why are community members that have integrated into, let's say, the Hedera community or the XRPL community, why are they there? What interested them to the extent where they wanted to empower themselves to create a wallet or do X, Y, and Z? So this is a very open call. If you want interviewed, I would love to interview projects. Like we said, thank you to Hedera Hashgraph and xSPECTAR for sponsoring aspects within what we're doing. And the other people that have messaged us for the same aspects, like, we will be getting back to you. It's just, for me personally and for the entire Genfinity team, it's very organic to try to do things in a way where we're not launching a token or an NFT or a coin until we can prove out that we've built out an ecosystem that people want to utilize. And it's a difficult road forward to do it that way. But it's something, in my opinion, I couldn't do it any other way. So yes, Sadaf, the answer to that is DM Genfinity. And that's it.
We'll have some more information pinned up anyway. The other thing is, how can members of the community become contributors?
I mean, that's difficult, right?
Yeah.
I think a lot of what, and this is kind of why we invite people up to speak at the end of this discussion, you know. And Too Cold, definitely, I want you to talk on this as well. But, you know, how can community members become contributors? It's about engagement. It's about, you know, I'm the opposite type of individual. Like every YouTube video I've ever done, that even if I've found crazy shit, I have a very hard time saying like and subscribe, just because it's so quiche. But really, that is what it is. Like, subscribe, share, retweet, do things that at least get the word out there, because it's not just influencers that have pull. And the way that I was able to build up a Twitter personally wasn't about, and I'm still hate the word influencer. It's an acidine. It's a stupid term. When you find people that have synergy and what your belief patterns are and what you've found and what you've researched, you want to share it with people and you want to get the word out, right? And it's very difficult to do that in a non-shilly way, especially when you get to a follower account, because most people with follower accounts are fucking... But it really does come down to the basis. It comes down to, if you like content, if you like X, Y, and Z, if you learned from something, liking it, subscribing to it, and sharing it, and then building out your own audience based on what you're participating in. It's about empowering yourself, and then based on your reach, empowering others in a way that you've done it yourself. And it's a hard thing to sell to people because it's all right in front of everybody's faces, which is it's a crazy thing where it's like, why sell it whenever it's right there, you know?
Yeah.
Too Cold and Jeff, real quick before Sadaf finishes the questions out. You guys have something real quick? Sorry.
Yeah, contributing. Yeah, it's just exactly what Solomon said, right? You have to participate, right? Like with the mint raid, right?
Well, how can you speak on an ecosystem? How can you speak like definitively if you base your entire identity around ecosystems? How can you speak on those ecosystems unless you've fervently participated in those ecosystems to the point where you're talking to every project that you possibly can and doing everything that you possibly can? There's no way you can, right?
Yeah, you have to participate, whether you're a listener, because I say this often in my calls. No matter if you're a listener in these space calls all the time, if you're digging around watching YouTube videos consistently, if your way of intaking information is reading a lot and you're reading a lot of the things that you Google, however it is that you're retaining this information, at some point in time, you're going to be an educator. So you just being here, that is contributing, but to give more back to the space, you have to actively participate. If you're not a speaker, that's fine. You can retweet some stuff. You can, write a simple thing, a quote retweet with, eye emojis and say, look at this, and retweet something out, right? That's helping, because at some point in time, the people closest to you in your life that you've been trying to help get into here and understand crypto and NFTs and blockchain, all those same people that ignored you, when the masses come, are going to be the same people that come to you for the information that you've been here preparing yourself with. So you are
one of the things Dirk said this earlier, where it's like, and I definitely want to finish the questions out, Sadaf, but now I'm rambling. I'm sorry. But Dirk said it earlier, where it's like, people are, there's a lot of bullshit in this space, right? And I shouldn't probably announce this yet because we have to talk about this as a team tomorrow. But even within, I see a lot of tweets around private equity investments in crypto, investing in Ripple or investing in Coinbase and what accredited investment looks like. And to me, when I see those things, it pisses me off more than anything, because I know the people. I don't know. I know people are getting paid to do this stuff, but which is fine. But it's also like it's this counteractive fucking movement where it's like, all right, well, if people are getting paid to shill private equity investments into a company like Ripple, where's really the portion that comes into play where how we make people empower themselves, like in Aries down there still. And this was Aries' idea at the onset. How do we empower people to the extent where it's just time for us? And we get them to the same extent where they don't have to have $100,000, or it's $200,000 annual salary, I think, or
$1 million in assets.
Or $1 million in fucking assets, which is just fucking stupid. And it's like, why am I shilling Web3 and crypto, and also shilling something that is walling 99% of the people off from an ecosystem that I believe in? It becomes a difficult value proposition. So it's another thing that Genfinity is going to be starting to do. I think we have to vote on that as a team because, again, doing it organically and doing it in the way that we've been doing it without launching a coin, NFT, or token, we don't have a shit ton of funds. We have sponsors and we have other people that want to sponsor us right now. So that gives us a runway to keep doing this. And I'm super fucking grateful for those people. But these are things that need to be done. Like empowering the mass populace, not only to become potentially an accredited registered investor, but to get to be hireable under that purview. Like people don't understand if you can learn and take a test, you can essentially make between 40K and 200K a year just by taking that test. And as a byproduct of that, you don't have to have that fucking money or those assets or that status. You just have to empower yourself, and you have to have somebody that's willing to facilitate it. And that's what we're going to be doing. So that's a little bit of a fucking Easter egg that we're going to be doing in the future. But it is what it is, guys. I mean, you have builders and you have bullshitters, and this is what we're trying to accomplish right now. So any other questions that we have, Sadaf?
Hey, Ken, I just have a comment.
Go ahead.
In regards to how do you bring more people into Web3? Like, we're targeting people that are exposed to occupational health hazards, but there has to be an easier way for them to have a wallet, I think, and to purchase the NFTs. Because here in the U.S., the labor organization, they want the help, but we have to figure out that way, how to get those people that help, and the first step is going to be to purchase the NFT, so the more education we can do
with what you're dealing in right now, it's a really difficult value proposition to say, how am I going to bring more people in to the NFT space in a way that it really does solve a real world problem, like an occupational health problem. And I think a lot of that comes down to just waiting for regulatory clarity.
Well, part of that too is labor unions, they want to help, but there's a lot of people who fear retaliation for speaking up in the workplace. But there's a paper put out by the American Federal Labor Organization that they say they need help. And our regulators here in the U.S., they're not doing it. OSHA don't have enough people. In order to inspect all locations in the U.S., it would take 165 years. So that's why it's so important to bring other people in. Yeah. And I've been working with Jeremy to figure that out as well. So.
No, 100%. I think it does deal in regulatory clarity to an extent, but I think it also deals in that mass onboarding event. Like XX was on here earlier talking about these applications that people already use that just are integrated with Web3 in a way that makes sense. And there's a lot of technical terms that are involved, but look, when you use Telegram right now, Telegram, your data is not, private even through Telegram, where if Telegram was subpoenaed, they have already captured all your data. There's aspects of our normal daily life that we use in Web3 that most of us don't interpret as being in Web3 right now. I think it comes down to a lot of different aspects, but what you're doing from the occupational health standpoint is super valuable. And I expect that I think a big misinterpretation about NFTs as well is the fact that NFTs are just JPEGs, right? And they're certainly not. NFTs deal in digital identity to the utmost extent, especially when we have all of this shit flushed out. And it's going to start with things quiche things like real estate and, ownership of our own assets. But really, NFTs at their heart are just unique unique code bases that exist on a ledger that aren't attached to like that unit of account based asset like Ethereum or XRP or HBAR. NFTs are a little bit unique in that regard. And they're adaptable and they're X, Y, and Z, which if you think about where this world goes and where the space goes, NFTs probably eventually represent ourselves. I've said this multiple times, but yeah, dude, it's just a time thing, man. Everybody in here that has participated in this space, I wanted to say thank you to. I think it's been a great first show. The first hour, we certainly ran the gamut of the market. I would recommend anybody that's still here to check out all the links up above. I would also like to say thank you to Hgraph. Even though the sponsorship hasn't started yet, it starts October 1st. We plan on just really trying to provide as much value across ecosystems as possible. And the best way that I can think to do that is breaking down silos and just making information digestible in a streamlined way. And the same thing for xSPECTAR, sponsoring the project's portion of what we're facilitating. It's a lot of work. I know how much Dirk works. I know how much he's trying to put in, but it's a lot, guys, to try to do this in the right way. And for you guys all to join into this space and participate, this is going to happen every week. We're going to streamline these. We're going to adapt these. We're going to do X, Y, and Z. I want to let you guys, like Carola, I don't know if you want to talk for a second, or Sadaf to lead us out, but I just wanted to say thank you to everybody from me, myself personally, and then maybe Sadaf and Carola from Genfinity's purview. If you guys want to lead us out, that would be absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, I just wanted to add, I think I'd rather like to highlight what's different in this space in terms of marketing. So, it's whether it's a process, a product, a service, whatever, a community, whatever it is, it's not as simple as, what you do in Web 2. You just kind of sign up and then you plug and play some ads and get your audience. This space is really about, like, the subset has changed, dramatically. It's about constantly getting involved with that community, constantly engaging with them. What Two Cold said, the educational piece as well. You really need to get your hands dirty and really do it yourself in order to build that organic community and provide some value and build something that's sustainable. And we're really trying to do that. And I think all the projects that are contributing are also trying to do that. You have, founders constantly on spaces, on calls, speaking to their community. And that's, I think, the big difference between Web 2 and the transition into Web 3. We also see that a lot of big brands who are coming out and trying to get involved, whether it's on NFT projects, whatever it is, they're not doing as well, whether it's paying a celebrity, whatever it is, because they're missing that fundamental change, which is what we're trying to do. It's really trying to connect with our audience.
Yep, 100%. I mean, it really is about just trying to empower as much people as possible. One of the problems that exists within these Twitter spaces with individual projects, and I certainly applaud everybody for trying to do it agnostically, it's very difficult to do it because unless you're just kind of a bystander and watching what's occurring and trying to facilitate and provide as much value where there's no pretense, it becomes a little bit difficult. Carola, I don't know. Carola, do you have anything that you would want to say? I would love for you to talk for 2 seconds, Carola. Carola's been a Genfinity member for a year. This is our first show. If you want to talk, feel free to talk. If not, I will lead us out.
She may just be listening.
Yeah, no, I'm here. Just, super stoked to be a part of everything. Love you guys.
100%. So, yeah, well, thank you guys all for joining. I hope you guys enjoyed this first show. Again, these are going to occur every Wednesday at 5 p.m. I have to give a gigantic shout out to all of the panelists throughout this entire aspect. Ben, Will, Jim from the XX Network, Darren, Crypto Airy, Kevin Cage, Coach JV, Bitboy, Tokenizer, Citizen of the Future, the people that came up for the projects portions, Patches, Ed Mortis from HBAR Suite, HBAR Foundation. I I have to give a huge and gigantic thank you to xSPECTAR and Dirk for sponsoring the work that we're trying to facilitate within the Projects Corner and just really try to drive as much traffic to multiple ecosystems. And Hedera Hashgraph, obviously, for sponsoring the LightHouse report. Ari, I know you're still down there listening. You're a fucking sister to me. Like, I love you to death. Like, all the work that you're doing in this space is absolutely amazing. Ari is building out a project review portion for people to go into for free to do their own research, and doing so much. Pre-IPO, who wasn't here, talking about taking a Series 65 and things like that within Genfinity. Yeah, this was a good first Twitter space, and I really appreciate everybody joining in. And we're going to do this every Wednesday at 5 p.m. I just appreciate it, and thank you guys so much, and we will see you guys next time. And Brandon from HBAR Foundation and Brandon from Pixel Rugs, everybody down here, Ledger Scale, Death, Karma. I mean, it's so hard to call everybody out. I really appreciate every single person that's been in this space. Thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.